Council will come into order. All rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of our veterans, service members, and those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. The clerk will call the roll.
Council Cologne Hayes. Councilor Condon. Councilor Crowe. Councilor Linehan. Councilor McDonald. Councilor Sika. Councilor Simonelli. Councilor Spatafora. Councilor Taylor. Councilor Winslow. Council President O'Malley.
Here. Under the provisions of the open meeting law, for those of you in attendance, please be informed that UMA Urban Media Arts will be recording this evening's meeting. So just to be aware, there will be audio and video recordings of this meeting. First order of business is public comment. Public comment is allowed under council rules. Each speaker is limited to the subject matter relevant to this evening's agenda and must keep their comments to 2 minutes or less. Clerk, do we have anything that has been written for public comment?
We had one emailed submission from public comment. Thank you. This is from Samantha LeBlanc, Ward 7, 30 Daniel Street. It says, "Hi there. I'm speaking in regards to O'Malley's lawsuit against the library trustees. Do the people of Malden know this isn't the first time the library trustees have refused to comply with the open meeting laws? In December 2024, the trustees sued the State Attorney General because she made the determination that the library is indeed a public body and must comply with a previous plaintiff's request for copies of minutes. Also, do the people of Malden know that one of the library trustees is Anthony Spatafora, a relative of Craig Spatafora, one of Malden's counselors at large sitting here today? My personal opinion is that Spatafora should recuse himself from the City Council agenda items regarding this lawsuit. Despite this, should we wait after the trustees' lawsuit against the Attorney General is closed? If the trustees lose that lawsuit, wouldn't they have to treat Council President O'Malley as stated for the role of ex officio? What is former Council President Winslow's opinion on the trustees' refusal to share determined public information? Either way, I do believe the other council members, except Spatafora, should have a say on this. Money's tight at the moment. Thank you."
Do we have anything else to
No,
read?
sir.
So the next order is consent agenda. This evening's consent agenda consists of meeting minutes to be approved, one petition being referred to license, and 2 papers to be placed on file. Does any councilor have any desire to remove anything from the consent agenda?
Motion approved.
Seeing none, on Councilor Sika's motion to approve, is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Simonelli. All those in favor? Aye. Please say aye. That has passed unanimously. The next order of business is hearings, petitions, memorials, and remonstrances.
Council will hold public hearing on National Grid petition to construct a line of underground conduits. Paper 273-25 petition, Massachusetts Electric Company, DBA National Grid, plan number 309-26772. National Grid to install 2 5-inch conduits through the intersection of Pearl and Medford Street, starting at manhole 605 and continuing approximately 150 feet to pole 335. Hearing required. This is Councilor Condon's ward.
Is there anyone from National Grid that would like to present? Please approach the podium. Please state your name and address for the record.
Petraic Jeka, 170 Medford Street in Malden, here to represent National Grid.
I'm Sebastian Chen. I am with a contract designer. Thank you. Working for this design also with National Grid.
Great. Do you want to give the presentation?
Yes, this project is to reconductor the Getaway to the Everett substation, and this petition is to construct new 2 5-inch conduit from the manhole to the Getaway riser pole. As existing, it's direct buried, which means that any type of outage or fault that happens in that cable the cable would have to be excavated, but the new conduit would mean that they could run new cable while the existing cable was there, and no excavation would be necessary during an outage. That's, yeah.
And just to confirm, it's still going to be in the ground?
Yes.
Councilor Condon, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. President. What's the status of it right now? I saw you out there doing some work.
Yes, so the other sections of the project already have existing conduits, so they're pulling the cable right now, but this particular section, they haven't been able to do any construction because they need the conduit to actually do anything there.
Everything's underground, though?
Yes, for this project, this particular section, this will all be underground, yeah, minus the riser pole, of course. which
And
is
the
existing.
area will be sufficiently patched and,
Yes, they will restore the area, the sidewalk, and the asphalt.
okay.
Any other questions? Okay, with that, I will declare the public hearing open. Anyone who would like to speak in favor of this petition, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Do we have anything written in favor? Again, anyone who would like to speak in favor of this project, please come forward and state your name for the record. Hearing none and seeing none, I declare that portion of the hearing closed. Anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this petition, please come forward and state your name for the record. Councilor Linehan is going to speak in opposition.
Thank you, Mr. President. So there is an outstanding National Grid pole issue that we have at the Malden Hospital, that it's the position of the mayor and myself that until such time as it's addressed, that petitions that come before the council in any other neighborhood, that we actually oppose and put them on hold until we can resolve that. It's actually preventing the 99 MBTA bus from being able to serve the West End. And so there's been a new pole installed to service the hospital development. The old pole hasn't yet been removed, so it's the 99 bus. It's not able to make the turnaround at the development. So there's a huge portion of the route up there that's not serving part of my ward, that neighborhood. So it's, with respect to Councilor Condon, it is our position that we deny all additional National Grid requests until that pole is addressed. So respectfully, I would request that we put that condition on this as well.
And just to confirm, you would like to put a condition that they fix the double pole on this, or you would like to deny or table the petition?
I would like to table the petition until such time that we can remove the pole. So the new pole is in, the old pole is preventing the bus from turning around. All we need is the old pole to be removed, and then the bus can service the area. So we've actually, the new development has built a bus turnaround for the route, and the part of the permit for the development was that National Grid install a new pole and remove the old one. So it is part of the permit for this new development. So everybody else, every other party to the development has met their obligation. And we feel this is the only leverage that we have to get this resolved. It is an entire bus route and neighborhood that's not served by the T because of this pole. So I realize this is an extreme condition to place, but it's also a really simple ask to remove a pole, I feel.
Noted. And anyone else who would like to speak in opposition? I see Councilor Condon.
Yes. That's a good enough reason for me to table this petition. It's not a big ask to move that pole, and a whole neighborhood full of people aren't getting the bus service. So it's going to be tabled until you get it done. Contact our city clerk when you do get it done, and she'll get it back on the agenda. Okay?
Thank you, Councilor Condon. Thank you, Councilor Linehan. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition? And then I'll come back. Are you speaking in opposition?
With National Grid.
Okay. Does anyone else want to speak in opposition? Hearing and seeing none, I declare that portion of the hearing closed. Mr. National Grid, could you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is. Oh,
There we go, yeah.
I got to turn it back on. Hi, my name is Bob Coulter. I'm a design supervisor at National Grid. To address your concerns, I've been dealing with you directly to find out exactly what the poll number is and find out in the transfer process who is there that as we work the polls from the top down, we complete our work, then it goes to the next entity, which could be Comcast, it could be the city, could have a municipal fiber. We can find out who is the next responsible person for you to expedite that pole removal, because Verizon will take that pole out.
Councilor Linehan, are there any wires still on the pole?
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, I have a photo here. It looks like there are still wires on the pole. Why don't we swap business cards and I can forward you the whole thread that I have here and then we can connect directly on it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yes. We did have a request to Council President to remove one of the agenda items off the table. Off the table was a previous petition for a new pole set on Eastern Ave.
Hold on.
It was item
7825?
78-25.
Is there a desire to remove this from the table?
Yes, there is, please, sir.
No, I know you have that. Is there anyone on the council that would like to remove this from the table?
Why would you take this?
Are you here to give us an update?
Yes.
Do you want to get the update and then we can?
No, I want to table it until we, it makes no sense to hear it because yeah, but I want to just leave it on the table until this thing is taken care of with the poll. That's it. Simple.
So there's no motion to remove from the table? I can't make any motions. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay, thank you.
With that, I will take up Councilor Linehan's tabling motion, seconded by Councilor Condon. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Councilor McDonald?
Yeah, just point of order, don't we have to conduct the positive part of this hearing, the public hearing, so you don't have to notice the public hearing again?
We did both.
Did we do the positive part?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any opposed? That has been tabled unanimously. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Council will hold a public hearing for the purpose of receiving public comment regarding the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget. Paper 236-25, order. The mayor will submit the fiscal year 2026 annual appropriation orders for the General Fund, Water Sewer Enterprise Fund, Community Preservation Fund, and Cable Access Fund.
I'll declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this of the budget or in opposition, please come forward. State your name and address for the record. State whether you are speaking in favor or in opposition to the entire budget or any particular part of the budget. With that, would anyone like to come forward and speak in favor or opposition to the city budget? This is the most we've ever had for a city budget. Councilor McDonald.
Yes, I know, fabulous turnout for the budget hearing, absolutely. As chair of the Finance Committee, I do just want to say to all of you who may be watching or are here for whatever on the agenda, that this is one of the most important things that the council does, is approve the city's general budget. Now, the city spends lots of grants and things, but this is the core set of city services. This is schools, fire department, police department, parks, public health, language access, road paving, all of these things run through our core city budget. And we actually have a lot of that information available online. So if you want to learn more about it, you can just go to cityofmalden.org/budget, and you can read at excruciating line item detail about everything that we are spending through this central portion of the budget. So in the Finance Committee, we do talk through lots of details. We just had the school department in. That's the biggest single part of the budget is Malden Public Schools. They spend over $100 million a year. The whole city budget is more like $240 million per year. And I think that the key dynamic this year has just been the long-term fiscal concern of the city. We are relying on cash to fill the gap, about $8-9 million in basically cash this year in that city budget. So that is not sustainable. That's about all we have that we can take from the reserves and still be prudently managing our finances. So this is a year in which we're really going to have to think hard about how we reduce expenses and increase income to bring the budget into a sustainable trajectory of balance. If we can't do that, it's going to mean, really painful cuts across all kinds of parts of the city, which I certainly don't want to see, I don't think any of us want to see. But we have some time in the year ahead to try to be more strategic and thoughtful about how to approach this and to really engage the community in the conversation. So I would love to know if anyone has any opinions on the proposed fiscal year 26 budget. That's July 1 of this year to June 30th of 2026. And also, I want to just make sure that folks know that this is a big conversation we're going to be having community-wide in the next year, is how to address our long-term fiscal sustainability. So, thanks for a couple seconds to say that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilor McDonald. Yeah, I'm just going to, any other councilors want to speak on the budget, maybe edify the public about what we're facing? I think Councilor McDonald did a good job. Councilor Winslow?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we have made a commitment to as a council is to have this public hearing. But we're actually not voting on the budget tonight. We'll be doing that in a couple weeks. So people will still have the opportunity to, you can submit comments to the councilors as well. And then we will, likely be voting either sometime on the June 17th or in the, maybe even June 24th. But you still have time to look at the budget and make comments. So even though we're having a hearing tonight, this is just a formality to get the word out, but you still have an opportunity to look at the budget and make any comments. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yes, and from the chair, as Councilor McDonald stated, we've been lucky that we've had about a decade of good budget years. We've had good receipts in terms of our collections, but with everything going on at the federal level, and the fact that we had a pandemic that has changed how workforces operate in terms of people coming into the office. Our commercial, ability to build commercial buildings downtown, which have a really great tax rate for us, is diminishing. So we need to do whatever we can do to stir economic development, encourage construction downtown. When there is a good economy, the real estate market is cyclical. It goes up, it goes down. When it's up, we should be building, so that carries us through the tough down years. We are entering those down years now. So there are going to be a lot of tough conversations to be had, and I hope that we can help lead that conversation, and I appreciate that people are here tonight to hear that. With that, I declare the public hearing closed unless anyone else would like to come forward. Yeah, for or against. That portion of the hearing is closed. Our next up is motion, orders, and resolutions. But before we take up the next paper, there are going to be a couple papers taken out of order at the request of some councilors as well as some petitioners. I will be taking paper. I'm going to take paper 27825 out of order. This is a paper regarding short-term rentals. This is a topic that has strong support and opposition, so I want people here to be able to hear this conversation. The clerk will read the paper.
Paper 278-25, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden 12.12 Use Regulations is hereby amended to add 12.32.030.e, Certificate of Registration for Short-Term Rentals. This ordinance was put forth via resident petition as signed by 10 duly registered voters of the City of Malden.
So again, I want to reiterate that this paper did not come from any councilors. This is a zoning amendment proposal that was submitted by 10 registered voters. They have the right under Chapter 48 to petition the city to change zoning. Additionally, any property owners who would be impacted by a zoning change have the ability to petition the city to change zoning. I want to just explain to the council that there was some discussion about whether or not the petition was required to also include a $1,500 check. There was no record that myself or the city clerk was aware of related to this fee. It was brought to our attention by the city planner, Michelle Romero, from a photocopied document in 2003 that the city council may have implemented a $1,500 fee for anyone proposing a zoning change. The call I made was that it would not be fair to subject the people who did not know about the fee, especially when we did not know about the fee. And so with that, it is on our agenda. They have not paid the $1,500 fee. I would like to open up to any sponsors of this. So if anyone would like to sponsor this paper, that would allow them to move forward in the process. But with that, usually you go and hand it over to a counselor to speak on this, but I would like to get the council's approval to allow the petitioners to come forward and state their case for this amendment.
Before we do that, can we have a little bit of dialogue up here?
Yeah, absolutely. With that, I'm going to go to Councilor Clone Hayes first, then Councilor Sika, and then Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Council President. Like you said, this hasn't been done before, so we're sort of learning as we go on how to go about this. And from what we just heard from Councilor O'Malley and Councilor McDonald and our mayor, we know we are moving into a very hard fiscal next couple of years, and who knows how long. So we've all been tasked to try and come up with out-of-the-box thinking, anything that could help us with some revenue, and also, listen to our constituents who may have some ideas. This didn't come, it came from residents, and I did meet with them in full transparency. They did reach out to me, and I have to say, what they came up with, after we spoke, and I said, you know what, this is great, you should do this on your own. You know enough on this topic, you have neighbors that are with you, and I think this would be a good thing to be community-led. And I asked them to do some homework and come back with some ideas that were balanced, that made sure our residents were protected from noise ordinances. Right now, there's no regulation. So we have about over 400 active short-term rentals here in the city right now that we're not getting any revenue from, we're not getting taxes, and we don't really have a way to regulate them right now. So this would answer some of those questions, and we did, so I put it back on them, and I have to say they came back with a tremendous amount of information. They really worked hard. It's better than some of the ordinances that we've seen here done by our counselors. So basically, I'm hoping that this would be referred to our committee for more discussion, because obviously there's going to need to be a lot of discussion on this. It's not going to be an easy decision to come about, but I'm just hoping that we get more dialogue and it could be referred to probably the planning board and ordinance is my guess. Thank you. I would love to be a sponsor. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Clone Hayes. Councilor Sika.
Thank you, Council President. So I have spent about the last 36 hours or so discussing this paper. While no disrespect to the paper and the residents that have put it on this agenda, I think that the City Council needs to stay consistent with how we do these things. And although this has never happened in the 12 years that I've been sitting on the City Council, we've never had residents come and petition an agenda item before. But back on April 29th of 2003, we did establish a fee for zoning petitions, and the fee is $1,500. So I'm just worried that, I believe that this paper is improperly before us on this agenda without the fee attached. And I think if we allow it this evening, it could totally come back. But I think if we allow it this evening, we're setting a horrible precedent as to how we conduct business moving forward with things that are similar to this. It could get a sponsor, that's great. Somebody could talk to it, but I don't think we should be voting on it this evening because it's improperly before us because there was not a fee attached. It said, if you want, I'll read the city zoning ordinance. It's titled 12.32.050. It requires a petition shall be accompanied by the fee set by the city council if the petitioner is not an officer or a board of the city, and accordingly, without the required fee, this petition is not properly referred to the planning board for the required joint public hearing with the city council ordinance committee. So I don't think that we should be sending it to a joint planning and ordinance. I think, if anything, it could come back. I'm not saying we shouldn't have this discussion. We absolutely should. There's pros and cons to having this. I, for one, get tons of phone calls against these short-term rentals. But I would love to have discussions as to how we can somehow make it work in the city, if we could make it work, but I just don't think we should be voting on it this evening. It's improperly before us, and I think we need to stay consistent in every aspect that we do. We wouldn't let, I wouldn't let, as the chair of license, I wouldn't let a Class 2 dealer come before me, even if it was a mistake of our own, you know, an oversight of our own, we would not let them come before us without the proper fee attached. So I think this paper, again, is improperly before us because there is no fee attached. And I think moving forward, now we know, of course, now we know, but I think that, I think that we should deny this, or not even deny it, but somebody who, can table it or withdraw it? Can you withdraw it?
I'd like to go to all the lights.
I don't know about tabling it necessarily, because
It has a sponsor now, so Counselor.
I don't even think we should allow a sponsor this evening, Counselor O'Malley. Again, horrible precedent. So somebody's gonna come in, do it. I don't think anything should be done on this paper this evening. It's improperly before us without a fee. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Sika. Counselor Winslow.
You know, a few things. I mean, it's interesting to me because when I first was elected to council back in 2018, I think that was about the time the state actually passed the law that was letting communities start collecting stuff for Airbnbs. And I think I was the only person on the council who had any interest at that time. So, you know, we took no action at that time because of various concerns. As chair of Rules and Ordinance, who would be, you know, sitting in joint with the planning board, I actually, you know, in seeing the petition come forward, what I know because of my experience in 2018, this may be controversial and counselors are going to have different opinions. So my suggestion was that, you know, however we proceed, that before that joint hearing happens, that the city council actually have some community forums on this beforehand. So whether it's Councilor Hayes, Councilor Colin Hayes and I, in terms of, you know, a joint meeting with community engagement and Rules and Ordinance, I just think that, you know, having this go first to a joint hearing is a very awkward process for people. So that's one of the things. And I do have, you know, one of the things I often talk about, you know, and it was a council president of saying, one of the things that we have a privilege as being elected to the city council is that if we have an issue that we want to put on the agenda, it's your right as a counselor to get it on the agenda. Whether a counselor, whether the council president, I never asked anybody not to put a paper on that they want to sponsor. This is weird, that I do think that there was some opportunity someone could have sponsored this. So I am thinking that, you know, I do want to, you know, make sure that we do proceed and we respect you know, that there is this process for 10 people to petition us and follow that process. I do think that maybe we haven't followed that correctly, and I do think that, you know, either we push this off 2 weeks to actually get a sponsor and then proceed from there, or table it pending the $1,500 fee. I think it is. We do need to take that step. I just think that we should. This is going to be, you know, a challenge. I mean, I also have to say, for the petitioners, if we don't get this right, the council could vote this down, and we couldn't type it up for 2 years. So you have to understand that this gets the ball rolling, but it does not ensure that this is going to get voted on favorably. So it is something that we have to think of. You know, like I say, it was intriguing to me in 2018 that there's a potential source of revenue. I mean, but since then, you know, I worked to set up the Affordable Housing Trust, and so we know that our rental houses or, you know, units are only gone up in price. So that's a balance we have to make as a city, and a judgment of protecting the long-term stability of people who rent. That's one of the things that we have. And I mean, I think nationally and internationally, cities in the United States and in the world are kind of thinking about this stuff, because you can get, you know, we're not that far out of Boston. We could get inundated, and it can undermine the stability of people who live and work here on a day-to-day basis. So I think it's something we have to, I'm open-minded about it, but I think we have to take a step and do it correctly.
I think this conversation it would be good for a hearing.
Yes, it is.
So thank you, Councilor Winslow. I just want to say from the floor as a point of information, by and large, the way in which the city council sets fees is through our ordinances. We set salaries through our ordinances. We set our building fees through our ordinances. We set most, if not all of our fees through our ordinances. This document that was referred to from 2003 was an order, and it's not clear if we can set fees by order. It's not documented anywhere in our ordinances. The council can set fees. This fee is not included anywhere in our ordinance. No one in the city of Malden knew about this except for the city planner Romero. And the call that I made was that it would be unfair to prevent a protected petitioning activity by our residents to come forward, which is their right under Chapter 40A and our council rules. So I understand that there's concerns. It's properly before us. It has a sponsor. It doesn't have to, if they can do the same thing in 2 weeks, why delay it? What is the point of delaying 2 weeks? I don't particularly have any skin in the game. I am indifferent whether or not these are allowed or not allowed. But I'm just saying, I think the decision as a council should be to not try to prevent the residents from petitioning their government. And that if there's the $1,500 fee was the highest fee out of any of them by like many times. So you have to ask yourself, why was a $1,500 fee put on this? But to prevent people from petitioning. I'm going to go in order. I'm going to go to Councilor Linehan first, Councilor McDonald. Councilor.
So as a point of information, in the interest of clarity, and because some of our resident petitioners here have a baby with them, and this is really, and we have a long agenda, this is dragging, and this is getting, I think, a little disrespectful to the folks in the room. If we do have a sponsor, I think that negates the fee, does it not? Why not? Could our sponsor not come back with their own paper in 2 weeks? Okay, so I see a lot of lights. Are we gonna like debate whether we just come back in a couple of weeks? I don't mean to be rude, but like, could we not just do that and let these folks go home and come back with it properly before us instead of like delaying ourselves for another hour? Would that be the way to do it and not have to charge them the fee and have this literal same thing come back with the sponsor?
It is here with the sponsor. I am going to go to the petitioners. Please present.
Okay.
Point of order. We do have a rule that requires the council to vote that allows someone who's not.
Okay, then I'll make that motion.
Okay, on Councilor Linehan's motion to allow the petitioners to speak, seconded by Councilor McDonald. With that, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes? Yes. Councilor Condon? Yes. Councilor Crowe? Yes. Councilor Linehan?
Yes.
Councilor McDonald? Yes. Councilor Seega? Yes. Councilor Simonelli? Yes. Councilor Spatafora? Yes. Councilor Taylor? Yes. Councilor Winslow? Yes. Council President O'Malley?
Yes. Please. State your name and address for the record.
Sean Malloy. I'm here to represent the petitioners I'm here to represent the petitioners and registered voters of the city of Malden for the short-term rental ordinance.
Could you just state your name, your address?
Yes, 79 Ashton Street, Malden, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
Dear honorable city members of the Malden City Council, my name is Sean Malloy. I'm a registered voter and homeowner in Malden for the past 7 years. I live here with my wife and newborn son, as you can hear. We own a two-family home that we live in as our primary residence, which has allowed us to afford a mortgage and a rising property tax in the city of Malden, which can be challenging in this current housing market. We purchased this property with the hope that the additional unit could provide some financial flexibility, especially now with added expense of childcare, and also give our in-laws a place to stay when they visit and take care of our newborn. I'm here tonight to petition the City Council to consider adopting a comprehensive short-term rental ordinance for Malden. This proposal isn't just about our personal situation. It's about creating opportunities for affordability, financial flexibility for other young families like myself, retirees and fixed incomes, and other homeowners throughout the city who are struggling with rising housing costs to stay in their homes and their communities. In addition, this helps create financial opportunity for the city, in addition to very clear regulatory guidance, which does not exist, given, as noted for the record, the more than 400 active short-term rentals that there are no fees being collected on currently. I have worked, currently, Malden needs better regulations and consequences concerning the hundreds of active short-term rentals in our city today. This means we're missing significant revenue opportunities, as have been noted as problems by the council here. While we also can implement stronger mechanisms to address repeated problem properties and ensure safety standards which do not exist today. I've worked with voters and community members to craft this ordinance that should be a win for everyone. This includes homeowners seeking supplemental income to stay in their houses, taxpayers who want revenue without increased taxes, our community members that deserve proper regulations and peaceful neighborhoods, our city that needs additional funding, and our building inspector who currently lacks clear and strict tools to address short-term rental-related issues. We don't think this is a partisan issue. It's about creating a win for everyone through practical governance, responsible regulation, creating opportunities for our residents while protecting our neighborhoods. We've studied ordinances from all the surrounding communities and incorporated the best practices to balance property rights with the community needs. I respectfully ask for your consideration for this proposal. Look forward to your input to help us adjust and refine this ordinance into something that is reasonable, makes sense for all parties, and is a win for everyone. Together, we want to create a framework that serves the residents, protects the housing stock, and generates revenue for our city. Thank you for your time and service to our community.
Thank you. Councilor Sika.
Thank you. Again, while I am not looking to have this conversation, I still believe it is improperly before us. And even though somebody has stepped up to sponsor it this evening, I don't think it should have been on the agenda in the first place. So I don't think we should allow a sponsor to happen this evening. I think if Councilor Cologne-Hayes wants to sponsor this paper, she should do so on the next agenda. I don't think we should be doing anything with the paper before us. I don't know, maybe we can get the opinion of the city solicitor's office. Ally, would you like to come up and shed some light on this? Because, oh, you have a mic, sorry. Okay, I didn't know that.
So you are welcome to, but we do have a letter. If do you want me to read your letter, or would you like to? Okay. Oh, okay.
Talk about this particular issue. It was brought to my attention, and the ordinance is very clear. It says that it shall accompany the petition. The fee shall accompany the petition. So it is my opinion, regarding the city council is the body that sets the fee. There is a paper 180, as Council President O'Malley stated, where there is a fee of $1,500, and unfortunately the petitioners did not know that, and other people did not know that, but there is clearly a fee. And regardless of whether the paper, that actual paper, was present, the ordinance itself states that the petition shall accompany a fee that is set by the city council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. We have a few weeks left. It's not like we're going to get this done before we break for summer recess. I mean, unless that's your intention of getting it to a joint planning and ordinance over the summer. But I think a topic like this, that's a horrible move. Everybody goes away in the summer, and it's not going to be well attended. And we know with hot topics such as this one, that I think we could fill a room for a situation, for a paper like this. So I'm going to make a motion here that we don't take up this, but what do you want the motion to be? If it tables, we're still not going to be able to take it off the table because it technically doesn't have a sponsor. So that's why I suggested that we withdraw the paper, and then Councilor Cologne-Hayes can then submit a paper properly. So it's properly before us. Right now, it is not properly before us without the fee. And nothing to do with the paper, but it's just gonna set a terrible precedence for anything else that comes before us that does not have a fee attached to it. Somebody gonna turn around and say, well, you know, when you discussed short-term rentals and Airbnbs, you let them put the paper on the agenda without a fee, why can't I? And then it got a sponsor the night that it was on the agenda, when it wasn't supposed to be on the agenda. So I think it's just a slippery slope if we allow this paper to be voted on or even tabled at this point. I think, again, it should be withdrawn and done properly. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Sika. I'm going to go to Counselor Cullen-Hayes and then Counselor Winslow, but I would say that my intention is, in 2 weeks, to put in a paper to eliminate the fee. I think that we should not be discouraging citizen participation or petitioning. And I'm gonna go to everyone and I'll go back to you. But so this should be a moot point, hopefully, as I would like to. Yes, Counselor Sika.
Really quickly, Councilor O'Malley, before you think that you're going to do that, you should really think long and hard, because this agenda is gonna get bogged down. Anybody can come to us to have a paper sponsored. I think I need you to think long and hard for that. And I'm actually a little disappointed that you took it upon yourself again for something else this past week to feel that you were entitled to be the person that decided to say, oh, hey, I don't think there should be a fee, so why not? It's no different than, suing somebody. So I just think we are a body of 11, and 11 of us need to discuss and decide what we do together. We're the city council. I am not an individual city councilor. I represent the whole city with the rest of you. We all have a seat at this table. So I would advise you against doing that. It's not going to be good for us. We can't even get the stuff done that we need to get done. You're looking to do that, I think it's ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Sika. Counselor Cullen-Hayes, for the second time.
Sure, thank you very much. I have no problem withdrawing this and putting it back in. I just want to state that there was a reason why going through the community, letting the community come forward with their own petition, to me, was fantastic. It's what democracy is all about. I loved it. I thought it was great. So the fact that nobody knew about this fee, it just came later. We had no idea. As a matter of fact, I just called, I think I told him right before so he didn't get in a panic thinking he had to come up with a $1,000 check while he's sitting here. So I couldn't withdraw the paper and come back. I would have happily sponsored it before it got in this paper had I known there was a fee, but this fee was nowhere to be found until after it was already on the docket. So again, I would have sponsored this. I was just so happy to bring forth our first and only. So I really appreciate all the work that you put into this, all of the community work that you did. And I'm sorry that you had to sit and listen to this, but we will, we'll bring it back and I'll happily sponsor it. Thank you. So I will withdraw.
Well, you're not.
I already made that motion.
All right, Counselor Winslow.
So this is on the docket, and I mean, I want to try to respect both Councilor O'Malley's position as president as well as Councilor Sika's point of related to this. So, I mean, I think one of the things is that, Councilor O'Malley is elected by this body to make some decisions. He made a decision. We can, by the rules, take a vote to overrule that decision. So I think that's one motion that could be made, to say, we as a council don't agree that this paper without a sponsor should have been on the agenda, and that way we pull it off the agenda and come back in 2 weeks. So that's one thing, and I would second your motion on that, Councilor Sika, if you want to make that. I think the other thing is that we could do is make a motion to suspend our rules so that Councilor Cullen-Hayes could be added as a sponsor. So those are just two suggestions on how to proceed, but I just think there's a way, that's what I see is the way to move forward. So I don't have those are my suggestions, but I would second Councilor Sika's motion to take this paper off the agenda because it's not properly before us.
Thank you, Councilor Winslow.
yeah.
Councilor McDonald, for the first time.
Yeah, well, this is fun. Welcome to city government. Thank you so much for doing a creative thing. Clearly, we don't yet know how to process that. I would like to make a motion that we just table this paper and give us a little more time to work on this without adjusting it or adding other counselors. Can we table the paper? That does take precedence as a motion, does it not?
Yep. So a tabling motion takes precedence. It's seconded by Counselor Simonelli.
I would like to take more time to figure out how we, yes, not create precedent problems or even the invalidation of a thing that was already on the agenda to me seems like a concern. I would just like to take more time to figure out what to do with this and figure out if we can. I think many of us clearly want to have the conversation. We are not having it now and we have a long agenda, so that's my motion to table.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed. Counselor Seco is opposed. That tabling motion passes. The paper is tabled. Thank you. Next order of business, which is the first order of business. Yes.
I respectfully ask that you've taken up the large crowd of 2 individuals who came here to address the topics that I believe the restroom is here for. So you served your purpose, I would like to serve the purpose of the residents right here. I would respectfully ask you or vote by the council to take the papers that we're dealing with the topic at hand out of.
So Counselor Spatafora has requested that we take some papers out of order. I'm going to go to paper 279-25. The clerk will read the paper.
279-25, resolve that it is the sense of the Malden City Council that the outstanding works being done by the Malden Public Library staff, led by Director Dora St. Martin, should be publicly recognized and appreciated. The creative ways the library staff and Board of Trustees have found to keep the library a relevant part of Malden's daily culture and ongoing history in this technological age is to be applauded. Be it further resolved that the Malden City Council will support the Malden Public Library, its staff, and the Board of Trustees by committing to open, transparent, community-based dialogues and addressing any concerns the City Council as a whole or any individual member does currently or may have in the future.
Thank you very much. This is a resolve, and it's sponsored, the main sponsor is Counselor Seco. So Counselor Seco, would you like to introduce your paper?
Sure, thank you. After using a word that you mentioned to me the other day at the Pride event, Councilor O'Malley, after being blindsided last week, realizing that the council president, initiated litigation against the Malden Public Library Board of Trustees, I felt that the city council should put this resolve on the agenda this evening to let the Malden Public Library Director Dora St. Martin, along with the Malden Public Library Board of Trustees, along with the Malden Public Library Friends of the Malden Public Library, I wanted to let you know that not all of us were supporting what was happening in your life. I am so sorry that you, the volunteers of this board who do not get paid, along with the Friends of the Malden Public Library, everyone that is still trying to keep the Malden Public Library relevant during a very technology-driven society, I just wanted to thank you. Thank you for everything that you do with the wine tastings and I went on your page today, you have bilingual storytelling and book sales, and you've even included community members such as the Malden Police Station, the Malden Police Department, the Malden Fire Department. You guys are amazing, and I just wanted to let you know that you are amazing. And I'm sure there are some issues, like there are issues with every department that we in this city have, but I don't think they should be resolved with one city entity suing another city entity. I think that this should have been and could have been done not this way, unfortunately. So this is the first paper of several that I have. I think, are we going to take all of them, Councilor O'Malley? Is that your intention, Councilor Spatafora, that we're going to take all of these in a row? All right, so I'll let the other members of the council that also sponsored this paper with me. It's pretty much a no-brainer. All 11 of us up here should be supporting this resolve to support our Malden Public Library, so thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Sika. And on that note, would anyone else like to be added as a sponsor to this resolve? I would like to be added as a sponsor, please. Thank you. With that, Counselor Condon. Oh, Counselor McDonald, Counselor Cologne Hayes, Taylor. You're on.
I'm on?
Yeah.
I'm on. I'd like to apologize to the trustees. I know how hard you work, and I think that the council president clearly overstepped his bounds. I heard that you were served yesterday. I don't know how you can serve a board like the library trustees without even coming to your city council. I spoke to you prior to this meeting. I feel very strongly about it. You know, we owe you an apology on behalf of the council president. And it never should have been done that way. And you have one of the best boards there is as a library. And the head of the library is such a fantastic department head. You know, she certainly deserves an apology. I won't vote to do anything other than speak on this paper. I will not vote to go into executive session in the back room. We can do it right here. That's how embarrassing it is to this entire city council. So that's where I'm standing right now.
Thank you, Counselor Condon. Counselor Taylor. Oh, Counselor Spatafora.
We're sharing the microphone.
Yeah, so I'm gonna read because I get very excited when people, I've been accused of yelling at people, so I took the time to read here, and I think Council, you know, these are for all the items. I will apologize on behalf of this body, because reflectively, it's probably the lowest point, I think, as a city councilor here when we're suing each other. And, you know, we're gonna talk about how we're in dire straits financially, but same token, we're gonna waive fees, because that's how you fix revenue problems. And you're gonna hear all these stories here, but let me be very clear. I was utterly embarrassed as a city councilor on Memorial Day when a resident came up to me and said to me, "Why are you suing the Malden Library?" And oftentimes, we get a lot of fake news, no pun intended. And I'm like, we're not suing the library. And I actually went around the World War II memorial, found Chief of Staff Marie Louise, and I said, "Are we suing? Who's suing?" She said, President O'Malley have served the city council trustees. So the idea of us as a body, because that's what this is, suing another body publicly is an embarrassment. And to top it all off, we're suing the library. I think that's what you call today bullying, right? These are the departments we can pick on. This is not the one. And more importantly, I'm not going to sit here and talk about the lawsuit merits, because I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to be an attorney, but what I will argue is, collectively, I will go to the Attorney General. The City Council President has no more special powers than most councils up here. They vote on tiebreakers. They can't, he can't, she can't, the President can't settle a lawsuit. The President can't change the council calendar. Mayor can't spend more than $500 without the council's permission. That is something that the forefathers of this country were smart enough to realize, that you do not give one power to one body. It's a civics class 101. And ironically, the best way to put it is Councilor O'Malley, I didn't think he was such a big Trump fan. He's using our Justice Department to attack his enemies. And make no mistake about it, this body, and I can't speak for everybody, but most of the council I've talked to, nobody knew this was happening. So transparency, I don't want to hear it. Second thing is, it's ironic that the first, or the email communication going up by Zahir, who was not here, was sent, I believe, on that Friday. And ironically, the Malden News Network knew to file a Freedom of Information Act at the same time. I'm going to have them play the lottery numbers. Because if you don't think this is a coordinated attack, you would be mistaken. And look no further than the individual running this meeting, because he should be held accountable for this. And let me tell you why. And I'm going to read this. And some of this was sent to the, I had to read it because I was going to flip out. I had to write it down. Let me get my notes here. I feel compelled of this unsettling experience I had at Memorial Day service that's shaken my understanding of government within our city. It is imperative that we discuss this grave matter. The City Council decision to sue the Malden Library is beyond reprehensible. I could not express the disbelief I felt when approached by a resident who informed me about the lawsuit. The City Council President taking it upon himself to initiate legal actions against the Library Board of Trustees, utilizing the City Legal Department to serve an unjust suit, in my opinion. Let me be extremely clear. My intent is not to dissect the merits of the lawsuit or the argument or the motivation behind Councilor O'Malley's action. I'm not. He could be right with the lawsuit. What I aim to point out is far more consequential. It is above overreaching principle of the authority within our city governance. The role of the City Council President does not confer any additional powers on beyond tiebreakers in setting some things, but the individual that has the power to cast a tiebreaker vote and manage meetings. But beyond this function, he is not the king of Malden. To address these issues head-on, less fundamentally the governance of the principles of the city. He cannot unilaterally make changes to the council calendar without a majority vote. The president cannot settle a lawsuit. He cannot make approval. These safeguards are established for a reason and a purpose. Consider this. The mayor cannot spend more than $500. The city council president must abide by the same type of restrictions. This is a matter of legality and fair and balance. It's black and white. It's not about the lawsuit. It's about one individual deciding to take the legal department and use it to masquerade as him being the victim, and he's the crusader, because that's what he's going to tell you. It's ironic beyond the same day the lawsuit was filed, multiple news networks filed a Freedom of Information Act. It's ironic. It's uncanny how that happened, right? Furthermore, I found it particularly egregious that the name of the lawsuit not only named the trustees, and by the way, let's be brief, I already filed my cousin's service on the board of the trustees. I get a free library book. That's what happens. So the idea that there's some conflict for a voluntary board, take it. I filed it already. There's no issue there, okay? When people volunteer, that means something good for the city. But the idea that not only did he name the trustees, the city council president named the librarian, who is not a trustee and is a city employee. So that individual has to pay for her own lawyers. Councilor O'Malley gets the lawyers for free. The trustees are going to hire out of their purse, which is going towards education in the arts, which I'd like to have Councilor O'Malley's comment when he said, I was so happy earlier that the arts are back in high school. He's suing the biggest arts supporter in the city, the Malden Library. Ironic, isn't it? So our librarian has to pay for our own attorney. And that's what we want to call freedom. Is that's what we want to do in the city of Malden? That's the discussion we want to talk about? This city is on a financial course, and it's not going to be good. And we've spent the last 75 hours, this council, discussing this topic about suing the Malden Library. Wake up. He's masquerading as a crusader, and he's not. This is a personal vendetta about bad bathrooms and voting on trustee material that he will not be a trustee in 5 months from now. Ridiculous. I find it egregious that he named the librarian, head librarian, who dedicated a career to serving the community with professionalism and integrity. This inclusion reeks of personal vendetta, masquerading as the crusader of justice. The city council president may depict himself as a champion of transparency, but let's not forget the real victim here. It's the institution, it's the people in that library that have the faith to keep that building going. And at the end of the day, we're not only witnessing a different from a troubling behavior exhibited by the administration of our country, but he's weaponizing our own legal department against that. His actions are dressed up as the righteous crusader against his perceived oppression, reflection of the abuse of power. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. I will defend this as long as I can do it. I hope you support all of us that this lawsuit ends tonight, and if it doesn't, I promise you, I'm not going to stand with all the residents. I will fight him personally, because this is bigger than the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafora. Any other comments on the resolve to support the library? Paper 27925? Seeing none,
No,
Yeah, and so the question is, we didn't quite get everyone who wanted to be a sponsor. If you weren't already a sponsor and you wanted to be a sponsor, can you raise your hand? Was that everyone? Okay, Counselor Simonelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I just want to say I apologize to you guys coming here tonight. You know, it's kind of crazy. You know, I just kind of found out about this last Thursday. I didn't even know we were having a problem with the library. So I apologize to you guys coming here tonight. I think it's kind of crazy. I have never heard such a thing. But yeah, I don't even know what to say to it. But sorry you got to be here tonight. I'll try and make it as funny as possible for you.
Yeah, so on Counselor Sika's motion to adopt the resolve, is there a second?
Second, I'll second.
Counselor Winslow, okay, Counselor Winslow, here you go.
All right, no, I'll second. I support the paper. I don't need, yeah, I don't like piling on as a sponsor sometimes, so.
Oh, you
I am
don't want to
support-
be a sponsor?
I'm fine. I'm supportive of the paper. I don't have to pile on to be a
Okay.
sponsor.
So with that, all those in favor of passing the resolved on Counselor Sika's motion? Huh? Okay, there's a request for a roll call vote. So on Counselor Sika's motion to adopt the resolution, seconded by Counselor Winslow, the clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Clone Hayes. Yes. Counselor Condon. Yes. Counselor Crowe. Yes. Counselor Linehan.
Yes.
Counselor McDonald. Yes. Counselor Sika.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli. Yes. Counselor Spatafora.
Absolutely.
Counselor Taylor. Yes. Counselor Winslow.
Yes.
Council President O'Malley.
Yes. That resolve passes unanimously. So before we go to the next order of businesses, as other counselors have mentioned, there is an executive session on the agenda related to the suit that has been discussed. I want to explain to the council and the public about why this is on tonight's agenda and not last week's agenda. The intent by everyone involved, including the legal department and myself. Okay, so yeah, we're, Councilor Condon.
Session here until we voted.
Correct.
City council.
Yeah. So we're gonna take up 288-25, which is executive session, and the clerk will read the paper.
Paper 288-25 order that the city council will vote if to go into executive session with Alicia A. McNeil, city solicitor, regarding the matter of O'Malley as president of the Malden City Council v. trustees of the Malden Public Library et al., docket 2581CV01275 for the purposes of Exemption 3, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation where such discussion in open meeting may have detrimental effect on the litigation position of the city, if so declared by the chair, and if so allowed by the body to admit Maria Louise, Special Assistant to the Mayor. Roll call required.
So we read that so I can state what I was gonna say. The intent was to have this executive session on last week's agenda, which would have been a committee of the whole. The reason being is the suit was filed the Thursday prior. Traditionally, our agendas go out on Thursdays, so we thought we would be able to get it on the agenda so the council would be immediately informed of what was going on. The situation escalated rather rapidly at the last May Board of Trustees meeting that required the suit to be filed. I didn't do it lightly. Unfortunately, it did not make that agenda because we did not anticipate the fact that Memorial Day would require the city council's agenda to be posted on Wednesday. I apologize for not letting the council know sooner, as soon as possible. This was the soonest I could without violating the open meeting law. I have come to a number of you about the concerns that I had. I'm very limited in what I can say in public, and I would appreciate the opportunity to explain to my colleagues about how we got here. Thank you. So I'm just now that I've introduced this paper, I will be vacating the chair, and I'll be handing it over to Councilor Linehan, who is our President Pro Tem.
Yeah, give me just 1 second. Is this the one? I have Counselor Sika first. Counselor Sika, you have the floor.
Really quickly, thank you so much, Councilor Linehan. My light has been on because I was President Linehan. I was going to suggest that, Councilor O'Malley, because as a resident in public comment a little while ago so graciously stated that, you know, Councilor Spatafora should be recusing himself from voting on anything that has to do with the Malden Public Library Board of Trustees because his cousin, who doesn't technically fall within state ethics, it's only immediate family members, so, you know, cousins, fourth, first, whatever, it means nothing with the state ethics. But I also think, Councilor O'Malley, that the following papers, you should probably be recusing yourself from all of them because they all pertain to you. Every single one of them pertains to you. And I think it would be in your best interest if you didn't vote on not one of them. So that, totally up to you, but they all have something to do with you, which means you should be recusing yourself from the papers and not voting on them. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Sika. I will next take Counselor, hang on, my mouse is being wonky. Counselor Crowe.
Thank you, Madam President. So, you know, just in Councilor O'Malley's introduction to that, it was he filed it and then he was going to tell us. You know, you can't even reprimand a city employee, even if they're your direct reports, without the full body voting on that. I've had that experience. So that it came after the fact and we didn't have this conversation in executive session, and I'm gonna be filing that this is gonna happen. It seems you put really the cart before the horse. And then these were on the docket, but then these people had a constable come to their house yesterday. So you had to, you kept moving forward without again saying, wait a minute, we see these things are on the docket. This is really, I have to think more clearly. So I think you jumped the gun. I think it is embarrassing. I do think adding a city employee, even though then she's not our direct report, I would say too bad HR is not here, that, you know, you're really creating a hostile work environment. And for all these people that put a lot of time and effort in there, they should be applauded, not sued. So you put the cart before the horse. So I do agree with Councilor Sika that you should recuse yourself in voting on some of these things, all of these things.
Thank you, Counselor Crowe. I have next Counselor Winslow.
So I guess I have a question for the city solicitor. Does the litigation involve a personal matter that we would typically have to do in executive session?
I don't know how do I put her on? Oh, all right, you're all set, Ally. Sorry
Am I
about
on?
that. You should be on, yeah.
So does it involve a personal matter?
Like a personnel, I mean, like, you know, that, you know, typically we would.
The trustee is not personnel.
So, yeah, so it does not,
A personnel matter?
personnel matter?
No, it does not,
Okay.
because that's not the
Okay.
exemption that
And-
were listed for, to go into
And
executive
then
session.
was there a need to act to prevent irreparable harm to the city's interest here? I mean, I just trying to get a sense of why was this done so urgently? So I guess, was there urgency that there was some action by the trustees of the library that was so urgent that we had to act before the city council could discuss even filing a suit?
The intent was to go before the city council so that the city council would understand the lawsuit, and that did not happen. So in terms of an urgency, I wouldn't say that there was an urgency on the behalf of the legal department.
Okay.
I will explain that Assistant City Solicitor Simi was traveling, and he was the one that was actually filing the lawsuit. And so if that's an urgency, that's the reason why it was filed. But in terms of the legal department, there was no urgency to get it out except for, if anything, that reason.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation, because You know, I mean, I worked as an attorney in the public office, you know, for state agencies and yeah, that type of thing. I mean, sometimes there are things that you have deadlines, you have statute of limitations, you might have, if you are litigating, you might have to file a brief within a certain amount of time or whatever to take care of that. So, but there is also the discussion. I also had kind of my own rule of like never filing anything on a Friday if you can wait over the weekend. So there's the type of thing of sometimes, you know, discretion is the better part of valor and that type of thing. So I just kind of, we don't have to go into executive session. I think one of the fundamental things in here is that I think fundamentally whatever was going on with Councilor O'Malley and the trustees should have really been talked about publicly. So I feel like now's the time. Let's air it out here rather than in a courthouse. That's really what should have happened. So I am, you know, I oppose going into an executive session. I think we should air out this stuff publicly right here. That's what should have probably been done in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Winslow. Next up, I have Counselor Taylor.
Well, that's me. That's me. Thank you.
Sorry.
So first of all, I'm not going to executive session. But Counselor Winslow, you had the same thoughts I had. So if you want to talk about why it was rushed, again, the first time I'll give you the mistake.
Okay.
Zahir sent it on a Thursday or Friday, I don't know the exact time. Malden News Network knew to file a Freedom of Information Act. Coordinated attack. This was not an accident. However, no, not a put. Wait, you wait. I'm not done. Second thing, after the full council had a conversation with him, because he talked to everybody except me, he still proceeded to have the constable file the lawsuit with everybody. And I'm going to ask publicly too, is I want to find out who paid for that constable, because I'm hoping it's city money. I'm hoping. All right? Because we're going to talk about responsibility fiduciary until he starts spending money and waiving fees. The big picture here, people, is it's not the question of the lawsuit. What I think some of my colleagues are missing, one individual in this body cannot start a lawsuit without the rest of the council. We can't settle a lawsuit without the council. We shouldn't be able to establish a lawsuit. We can't change the calendar without the full council. He went rogue. And if you want to talk what he did, I can pull Freedom of Information Act because I did it too. And if anybody wants to read how we talked to our librarian, I would be more than happy. In fact, indulge me. Because she's not a trustee. You are the director of the library and custodian of these records. I am in receipt of your email below, which appears you wrote and put John's name on it. Please do not insult my intelligence in this role. I am taking your emails, a refusal by both of you, as director and as John and as president of the Board of Trustees, to compel with both my demand letter and the law. I am ready, I'm really beginning to understand why the library is in the current state of disrepair, physically and organizational. That is your ward counselor, who's the protector of the library, who actually had his own survey done and passed it out the night of the library. Paint by numbers, people here. He's a fraud. He's masquerading as a crusade and he attacks the library. That is bullying. He does not have the ability to sue without the council. That's the biggest point here. He wants to sue, come to the council and ask, period. And I think my colleagues would have all said the same thing like Councilor Winslow said. We can have a discussion with the trustees. They might be right in certain areas. I'm not disagreeing with either side. What I'm saying is you don't go this way. You don't go this way. And I'm just sick and tired of this playing, we're bad guys, we're good guys. This is the true colors right now. You're attacking the library. We're talking about budgetary cuts, and he's using city resources for his own agenda and then forcing the trustees to spend money that people donate to help the kids and the people to learn education and arts to spend money on a lawsuit to make him feel better. What is wrong with this picture? And I would be more than happy to print these in every newspaper because this is the true Councilor O'Malley. He's a bully.
Do you want, all right. I'm going to give you a chance to respond. Counselor Simonelli, I'm going to go to you next. I know we have a lot of lights. Can you?
Called me a bully. So I'd like to respond. Counselor, yeah, he named me multiple times. I do get to respond.
Please keep it brief, and then I'm going to go to council.
I was just recognized. I didn't turn myself on.
I'm gonna
Please.
let him respond, I'm gonna let him respond, and then I'm gonna go to Counselor
you.
Simonelli, and then I'm gonna take everybody else in order, and then we're gonna vote whether to go into an executive
I'm
session.
going to choose to not besmirch your character, Counselor Spatafora.
I'm reading from your text.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about whether or not you should be participating in this discussion. That's already been mentioned. I'm not going to discuss it. I'm no longer in the chair. I can now make motions. And I would move that we enter executive session to discuss this. I want to fully brief my counselors on this litigation. It would be unwise from a litigating perspective to do that here in public for a number of reasons. One, it could detriment the litigating position of the city. And two, it would impact the character and reputation of some individuals in this room and members of the public. I'm not really looking to do that. I tried for 6 months to do this in the most amicable way possible. I'm not going to get into what has occurred over the last 6 months, but I would really appreciate the chance to tell you all in a manner that does not cast the dirty laundry into the ether on TV in the city of Malden. I would move that we go into executive session. I'd appreciate a second.
Thank you, Counselor O'Malley. Counselor Simonelli?
Thank you, Madam President. And this might be a legal question, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know procedurally if we are able to go into executive session at this point in the process, because it didn't start in executive session. So, I mean, it's already out there. It's already public knowledge. You know, I say, how the hell with it, man. People are here. Let's just let them, so they know what's going on. I don't know anything that's going on. I don't know anything that's going on. You know what I mean? I found this out on last Thursday before the docket closed. I didn't even know we had a problem with the library. So I just think that all this jumping around, jumping back into executive session, listen, my brother, Brian, we talked. You know what my advice was, what I thought you should do. So I just think that, you know, it's out there now, and I just think it just wouldn't look right for us to go in executive session to start talking about this far into the game. You might as well put it out there. I don't know if any of you guys got as much dirty laundry as me, man. Let's put it out there, spread it out. You know what I mean? There's transparency for you. So let it go. Let it go. That's all. There it is.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Simonelli. All right, I'm gonna take Counselor Cologne Hayes.
Thank you very much, Council President, Madam President. So the one thing that got, first of all, we didn't all know about this, so I'm not quite sure what has been said here about emails. I never received any email. I don't know anything about this either. What I do know is when I did receive it, I made a phone call, and the Malden Public Library, as we all just said, my kids grew up there. I love it so much. I attend all their events. I donate. It is a phenomenal place here. They couldn't possibly do any more than they already do. That goes without saying, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't listen to something that I don't know anything about either. I read some of the complaint once I received it without knowing, and thought I'd like to hear more about this. My vote to second about executive session is for what Councilor O'Malley just said. Because I respect and admire the Friends of the Malden Public Library, the library staff, everything to do with the library, I do not want this to go, something to be said here in the public. I don't even know what it is, but whatever it is, I'm not sure I want that out there either, not even without knowing what it is. But I will also talk about it right here in front of everybody because, again, I don't really even know what this is about. So I'm sitting here to listen with an open mind. Everybody can make mistakes. Doesn't mean, nothing here is, you don't either love something or you hate it. There's a whole, area in between. You can love something so much and still want to hear when something's gone wrong. How are you ever going to get better, all of us, including myself, if you don't look at something and possibly hear if something went wrong. I don't know if something went wrong, but I'm here to discuss it. And thank you all for attending and showing support for the library. And so that is why I second the executive session, but I'm also here to speak about it publicly if that's what everybody here thinks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cologne Hayes. Councilor Sika.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so, not to beat a dead horse here, but Councilor O'Malley, if you had the authority to initiate this litigation against the Board of Trustees without us going into executive session, I feel that going into executive session tonight is a moot point. You did briefly have a discussion with me earlier. I don't think what you're going into executive session for this evening has anything to do with the 4 or 5 other papers that I have on the agenda. My problem with how this was handled is the reason that all these papers are on the agenda. Like Councilor Spatafora said earlier, you can't change the council calendar without full council approval. I don't think you should have been allowed to initiate a litigation between another city department head without coming before us. Maybe we should have went into executive session before the thought of a suit was even in your head. I do know that you spoke to a few other councilors. One of them was not me. I did not know, like Councilor Simonelli, that we had any issues with the Library Board of Trustees until last week, again, when I was blindsided by hearing that you initiated a lawsuit. I feel that this is like a double-edged sword, because I don't believe that you should have been able to file a lawsuit as the council president using our city solicitor's office against the Malden Public Library Board of Trustees. And then on the other hand, if it's just you personally, which I've heard several times over the course of the last 7 days, you shouldn't have reached out to the city solicitor's office and are using city resources. So it's kind of like you're damned if you do with this one and you're damned if you don't. You either went to the city solicitor's office and got and filed litigation, an unauthorized litigation. I mean, everybody in this room, in this world knows we've been back and forth in executive session with benevolent botanicals for the last 3-4 years now. I don't know why we couldn't have easily gone into executive session. The stuff that you're upset about that you mentioned to me in the parking lot before I walked in here this evening, it could warrant us to go into executive session. I would like to know more of the things that you had mentioned out there, but they have nothing to do with the papers that I filed, that Craig signed on to, and the others. I think that executive session, it's a little late for executive session at this point. I don't think we need to go into executive. I'd like to take the other papers first to see where they go, because I don't think executive session is necessary at this point. Again, you should have did it weeks ago before the thought of a suit was even in your head. So I also will not be supporting going into executive session this evening. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sika. Councilor McDonald.
Thank you, Council President. I just don't think we should be suing our own library. And so I find myself agreeing with my colleagues that, in fact, I don't believe any individual member of this body should be able to initiate a lawsuit without a vote of the body, and thus our litigating position is moot, which is the purpose of an executive session. You know, I really try to give all of you, as my colleagues, the benefit of the doubt, but this is one situation, you know, about the ability to have executive session. I've supported motions for executive session just to hear people out. In this situation, I think there is so much potential damage to the relationships in the community from proceeding in this manner that I cannot support it. I like Councilor C, but I think we should address the bigger issue. It may be something that emerges that we need to do that for, but I actually like Councilor Sika's suggestion of addressing some of the other papers first. And I wonder if we could just table this one and then go back to some of these other papers and tackle those first. And then if we still have a need for executive session, we could do that. I would also, so I or if someone wants to call a vote, then I will vote no on executive session currently. I also just want to say that, while I am agreeing with my colleagues about the legal substance of this, I am not agreeing with the value of us calling each other names on the council rostrum. I don't think that that helps elevate the conversation to the place that it needs to be. I don't think that's how we get back on track with a community with clearly broken relationships that are present at this point. There's a lot of ways to resolve conflicts, from mediation and arbitration, there's a lot of ways to resolve conflicts that should not bring us here. So I would like to ask that we all just continue to respect each other and avoid name calling at this table, but I cannot support executive session about this motion.
But I did not hear you actually make a tabling motion, is that correct? Councilor Condon just has explicitly stated how long he's been waiting to speak, and so I am loath to not let him have his turn. Okay, thank you. Councilor Condon.
Thank you. I really don't want to hear the word transparency anymore because it's so ridiculous. I've been here 40 years, okay? And I've never seen a council president disrespect his fellow councilors the way Ryan did. And it boggles my mind that he could just jump ahead, serve these people. These are pillars of the community. And you put them in an embarrassing situation like that, you owe an apology. You do. And I think you know that. No, I know you don't agree. But everybody up here should not be happy what took place, because it was like we weren't even elected. Just bypass me. I'm the president. Hey, can't get away with that, even as a president. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Condon. Is that actually your light on? That's not me again? Okay, Councilor O'Malley for the second time.
I would just like to move the question for an up or down vote on executive session. Thank you.
Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
On Councilor O'Malley's motion to enter into executive session, seconded by Councilor Cologne Hayes. Councilor Cologne Hayes? Yes. Councilor Condon? No. Councilor Crowe?
No.
Councilor Linehan?
No.
Councilor McDonald? No. Councilor Seega?
No.
Councilor Simonelli? Councilor Spatafora? No. Councilor Taylor? No. Councilor Winslow? No. Councilor O'Malley?
Yes.
So that motion failed by a 9-2 vote.
I'd move to table this paper. Do I have a second?
What information?
What did he say?
What paper you table?
Executive session.
It's already failed.
We just failed it.
Yeah, we're not going in, so we need to table the paper.
I think that's a final action on the paper. It failed. You took a vote.
Maybe, yeah. We just voted not to go in, but yeah. Sure, that's fine, okay.
The council will take a 5-minute recess.
Paper 280-25, order that the President of the Malden City Council will dismiss the case filed in Superior Court on May 22nd, 2025, against the trustees of the Malden Public Library, case number 2581 CV01275, and further be prohibited from using his position as president and/or ward counselor to use city resources for personal claims.
Okay, I have Counselor Sika for the paper.
Thank you, Council President. Okay, so once again, I do believe that Council President O'Malley did not have authorization to even initiate this litigation. So I made this motion. I'm going to make a motion that he dismiss this lawsuit. I suppose if this paper passes, we don't really need to do the other three. It's totally up to the council. I threw a bunch out there because if we can get him to dismiss this case because he didn't have authorization, then if he doesn't, then maybe we shouldn't, because even if we vote to have him dismiss this case, he could technically do it himself if he wanted to, but it needs to be without him using the city solicitor's office and their staff and any money from the city. So maybe we should keep the other three. I just had some side talk going on, and I had requests to remove some, but, so I was trying to help everybody, but I do not think Council President O'Malley had the authorization to initiate a litigation between the Board of Trustees of the Malden Public Library in his role as Council President. Like Councilor Spatafora said earlier, he can't change the calendar. He can't agree upon settlements. We all have to do that collectively as a body, and I just do not think that this case was properly done. So we can all sit up here and beat this dead horse, but all the rest of the papers are basically all the same thing. I think we've all said everything that we've needed to say regarding this issue, so I don't know if you just want to vote on them or if everybody else wants to talk about this again, but this is the same comments from the resolve pertain to the next four papers that we got before us. So whether or not you just want to hang out here all night, but I make a motion to.
Sorry, what was the motion?
I make a motion that we order Council President
To adopt the order.
to adopt the order, that he dismissed the case
have
filed
discussion on
against
it?
the Malden Public
okay.
Library Board of Trustees in Superior Court on May 22nd, 2025.
Okay, I'm going to take discussion on the motion. I have Counselor Winslow next. Thank you, Counselor Sika.
The council president doesn't file the paper, the city solicitor does, so I would make propose an amendment that the order be 280-25 state that the city solicitor withdraw the Superior Court action on May 20, 2025 against the trustees of the Malden Public Library and, I guess, Dora St. Martin case number, the case number. And then we would, and further, the council president be prohibited from using his position as president or a ward councilor to use city resources for filing such claims. So I think that, and that would probably basically takes care of the 281 and 282. I think that language will just cut to the chase for everything. Just, the city solicitor works for the city council. If we direct the city solicitor to withdraw the lawsuit, I think in particularly the concern here is the trustees and Dora St. Martin. One of the things you learn in law school is that once a lawsuit is claimed, filed, the clock is ticking, so you have to respond. So then you have to have a lawyer. So that's the urgent thing that we have to decide tonight, to withdraw this lawsuit immediately, to stop it, and so that the trustees don't have to spend any resources defending it or get ready to defend it. So my suggestion is let's cut to the chase, have the city solicitor withdraw the lawsuit, and that way it's gone. The trustees don't have to take any response. Ms. Martin, St. Martin doesn't have to think. So that would be my suggestion for amendment, and then
Okay.
and then I do think we should still take up 283-25 as that. So, but I think that language will take care of those three orders. So thank you. So that's my amendment.
Okay,
So, yeah.
thank you, Counselor Winslow. Counselor McDonald.
I'm happy to second Counselor Winslow's motion, or amendment, rather. And my comment was also that I do think 283-25 needs some attention, which is about prohibiting members of the council from initiating litigation in their capacity without a vote of the council. So I think, I'm not sure whether that should be an order, or an ordinance, or rule, or what have you, but I do think we should attend to that one. Maybe not necessarily tonight, but soon. So I've seconded Counselor Winslow's amendment, and maybe we can take a vote on that?
Okay, so I had that already seconded by Counselor Sika. I
Okay,
do
great.
have Counselor O'Malley next for discussion before we take that vote. Counselor O'Malley.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was primarily hoping to do this in executive session. One, to give you all an update in terms of how we got here. Obviously, I'm an elected official in my hometown. Suing half of the major families in the city is not something that I take lightly. It's not something that I wanted to do. It was something that I was advised to do by the trustees' attorneys and the attorneys for the city of Malden. I do not place the blame on the city solicitor's department. The decision to file 100% is in my lap. I stand by that. The facts are what they are. I don't know if y'all have had a chance to read the complaints. There is an overarching request for a permanent injunction, and there is a temporary restraining order and request for a preliminary injunction. I am going to address whether or not, one, this is not a personal claim, so your paper that says it's a personal claim is not correct. This is not my personal claim. I am taking this action for a declaratory judgment, asking a court to interpret state law, because the Board of Trustees, namely led by Mr. Tremendozzi, who's the president, have a fundamental difference with the city of Malden, our legal department, and many of the counselors up here about the relationship between the city of Malden and the Malden Public Library. I'm going to hand out an org chart that I came across. It's from this thing here, which says, "This is your key to the city." It includes the org chart, the year. Mayor Kelleher was the mayor, so I'm just going to pass out this org chart.
So no apology, correct?
Now, you can disagree with what it says. That's completely fine. For the edification of the public, at the top, this is now a public record. It will be attached to the agenda. At the top is a box that says voters and a line that comes down, and the line goes to the school committee, the mayor, the city council, and there's a dotted line to the council president. Every year, the city council selects a council president that serves as its head. The city council has one direct report, according to this org chart. You can disagree with it or not, and that would be our clerk of committees. The city council president, on the other hand, has a number of direct reports, including the city clerk, the treasurer, the city controller, the solicitor, and the Board of Health, not really anymore, as well as various committees, which the council president appoints. Now, when it comes to whether or not I had the authority to take this action, I was advised that I was the only person who had standing to take this action on behalf of my position. I specifically asked our legal department whether or not, why was it my name? Why was it O'Malley v. Library Board of Trustees? Why was it my name v. John Tremendozzi, the president of the Board of Trustees? And what I was told is because state law specifically says that the city council president is an ex officio member of this board. The dispute that we have is that for the past 50 or so years, the Board of Trustees does not allow ex officio members to meaningfully participate. That timing has resulted in thefts of public art. It has resulted in a number of other things that I don't really want to mention publicly, but I will say that I have been getting calls which people might qualify as whistleblower complaints, and I'm in a position where I'm asking to participate. I am asking to see the books and records when it comes to meeting minutes. I'm being asked to look at the financial documents. I would like to see an inventory of the precious art, and I am being told I cannot have access to that. That's what we're dealing with. I didn't twist the arm of the city solicitor's department to file this suit. We were unanimous that this was a legitimate concern, and we wanted to move forward with this because the city council president has a legal right to participate. Not the city council. It doesn't say the city council's designee. It doesn't see the city of Malden's designee. It specifically states the city council president. So we can disagree on what's going on. It's not a personal claim. To be honest with you, my opinion is no matter what you guys vote on tonight, it has no legal effect on this case. I would really like to give you all a full update in executive session. If that happens in a future week, I would be willing to do it then. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Cologne Hayes.
Thank you. So I wanted to address a couple of things. I didn't know all the details of the lawsuit, but I did have some questions about whether or not I would be voting on something that says that we don't have the right, or we need to know about all of the lawsuits that are going through the city solicitor's office. And that's because I have asked for, there are things that are being sued by our solicitor's office that we have no idea about, nor should we. They're doing their job. They don't have to come before us on every single thing. And, to address some things that were said earlier, that, I do find some things embarrassing too, and one of them would be suing our residents in Malden, a family who's just trying to find out what happened to their son who's nonverbal on something that happened on a bus. So that part I do agree with, but we don't know about a lot of those lawsuits, and a lot of people here don't know about the lawsuits. So, legally, I don't know if we can vote yes or no to this. Do I want to sue the public library? No, of course not. But I don't know if we can make that decision here. So I just wanted to bring out that we don't know about all the lawsuits that happen in our solicitor's office. And just put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cologne Hayes. Councilor Spatafor.
And now we do.
Yeah, I knew this would come up. This is what you call, let me pretend I'm gonna vote for something, but I'm not. So, first of all, I just want everybody to realize, I'm not saying this is accurate or not, but Walter Kelleher was mayor before I was born. Council O'Malley's using this as a reference point. I know things have changed on here, so if this is an Exhibit A, I wanna see, because I don't think we have a city physician anymore, right? I don't think we have we don't have a city physician. Who? That's not the city, the Board of Health on here too. We have a position, we have a city physician as a direct report, not part of the Board of Health. No, we have a doctor on the Board of Health, not a city physician. Is there an insurance committee?
It's maybe not relevant to our discussion.
All right. Well, I just want to make sure that, I don't think we can accurately say this is still the same org chart from 1975, because that's my point here. The other point of the matter is, Councilor Cologne Hayes, I will make this very simple for you. This is not whether the city council knows what the city solicitor's office is doing. That's not the argument. And I'm not debating if the city council has the authorization to sue another entity, another individual. So let's leave the private litigation separate. This is, can the council president, because he kept on saying we to in his deliberation, which I found very interesting because we is collective. It's I, he did it. The question is, can the president of the city council sue anybody without the authorization of this board? That's the question. As simple as that. Can he say to the, can he ask our city solicitor right now to sue another individual? And by the way, who approves any funding that goes along with that? Because I'm pretty sure the city council president can't just say, we're going to spend $500,000 in legal bills. Because I believe you have to come back to the city council to ask for that. So that's all the question is. Does the president have the authorization to start or initiate a lawsuit without this board? I'm not saying we can't sue somebody. I'm not saying we're not collective. That's the discussion. It's not whether Alicia, the city solicitor, is suing a third party, a company. We don't get into that. That's daily activity. And by the way, the city solicitor is reports to the body, not the president. So all these things are like, well, I didn't know this was happening. That's not our job. One question. Can Councilor O'Malley, or the president, forget Councilor O'Malley, can he sue, can that individual sue on behalf of the city council without authorization? I don't believe so. You can't settle that. And I don't understand why that is such a challenge. The thing that blows my mind is we're suing the library. I mean, that's the crux, right? So very simply, can he do it? And I will be honest with you, Councilor O'Malley, if this body votes for you to drop that lawsuit, and we tell the city solicitor, and you think it's not going to change the outcome of the lawsuit, I will tell you right now, Councilor Linehan better get used to that chair, because I'm going to make sure she's the next president this year. Because you're going to override the authority of this body and sue who you want. That is not professional behavior. So go ahead and play that game, and I will advocate that Councilor Linehan stays as the president of this thing, because I think you've overstepped your bounds. You know it. You backed into a corner, and now you're going to blame everybody else. Apologize, bring the trustees, let's have an adult discussion and figure out where we can get in the middle. This idea of we're going to keep suing them is not a good look for you, and it's certainly not a good look for us. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't see your light. Councilor Sika.
I'm sorry, thank you so much. I just wanted to maybe amend it a little bit more after talking to the city clerk. To add a little bit of 28225 to the 28025. So after the end, when it says to use city resources for personal claims, I would like to add, and that no city resources are utilized for the purpose of supporting or reimbursing legal fees or court expenses incurred by Ryan O'Malley. Along with Councilor Winslow's amendment. In this case, I'm fine with that, in this case.
It says the case number, so we know it's for.
Oh, yeah, it does say,
It does have the case number, so you
Yeah,
know it's pointed to this.
Yeah, that's probably preferable.
okay.
You have that okay?
Yep.
I am going to ask you to.
Send it to you? Sure thing. No,
So-
perfect. I'm combining all three of the, I'm combining three papers. So 280, 281. Well, they're all kind of going to be,
So you'd be recusing from this one, right, that names you? You'd have to recuse from all of what.
Councilor O'Malley, we're only going to be voting on one now. We're kind of making three of them one.
Yep, sorry, I'll give you.
I was planning on recusing myself from, I got advice from the city solicitor that I don't need to recuse myself for anything, because this is not in my personal capacity. I have no financial interest. There's not an actual conflict of interest here, from what I've been advised. Out of an abundance of caution, I was going to recuse myself from 28225, because it mentions fees, which you could argue is financial.
Well, I just added all that to this one, so you should probably recuse yourself from 28025. If it gets voted on.
Yeah, so for
amended.
this amendment, I'm gonna recuse myself for this amendment.
That's fine.
So do we need to vote that, or can you just recuse?
We need to vote. We need to vote his recusal. Councilor O'Malley.
Does somebody need to make a motion for him to recuse? Okay, all in favor? Aye. He's recused. Okay. So now we need to go through the amendments for 280-25. So we had an initial, I'm sorry, Councilor Winslow, did you want to speak to that?
I just have a question for the city solicitor's office in terms of do you have any sense, have we expended city resources, or did we have filing fees or anything like that?
Yes, we had filing fees, and I believe the filing fees are $350. and change, and there are also fees that were incurred for the service of the summons, and I believe it's $65 per person.
And so, I mean, that was done on I just don't know if those, will the city be responsible, whatever we do in terms of this resolution? It's not clear to me that, I mean, those are already coming out of the cost of your office, right? So,
Well, the only thing that came out of the cost of my office thus far are the filing fees, and that was $350 and change.
and so the constable hasn't sent a bill to the city yet or whatever, so.
They have sent a bill, however, it has not come out of my office account.
All right, I just want,
What will
yeah,
it?
well, I guess that's the question, so.
It just came in, so no
Yeah.
one's paid yet.
Yeah, so personally, I mean, I think the folks who've been sued, I think we need to expedite that. I'd like to put the cost aside. I just think it's complicating things unnecessarily. The real urgent thing tonight is to make sure the suit is withdrawn as quickly as possible. I don't want to draw this out. We can do something else on that, but I think we need a clean resolution to withdraw the lawsuit and stop anybody from having to spend money. We'll figure out amongst ourselves about how that gets paid, but
Yeah, I
just, let's do what we need to do most urgently.
The original amendment?
Yeah, thanks, great.
Okay, so the original amendment is to replace the word president with solicitor, and you still want to combine, Counselor Sika, you still want to combine the other papers? Or you're just leaving those alone?
This is basically all,
Yeah.
if we're changing it to the city solicitors.
Then you're good.
I'm
Okay, understood. Okay.
Councilor Winslow,
Okay.
didn't you say something about like, yeah, the personal claims? Didn't we-
I mean, I didn't intend to do that. I just, yeah, I mean.
So you're
it
saying
can
keep
stay
it
that-
simpler so that we can just take care of it?
Yeah, we can just take care of it.
Understood.
And then,
Okay.
I mean, just on a point, I mean, I just going through our city charter. I mean, it makes clear, I mean, a quorum of the council is what's necessary for council business. The only place this council president is mentioned is that we have to have one. Because if we don't have a mayor, then the council president takes over mayor.
Right.
So we have to appoint a council president, but it doesn't really explain the powers of the council president, so that's an interpretation. But, I mean, I think it's the charter language, one council of 11 to be called the city council, and the members thereof shall be sworn to the faithful performance of their duties. A majority of the council shall constitute quorum for the transaction of business. So that's, to me, I think that, yes, I think that filing a lawsuit in my mind would be, tend to be something that's council business, so. All right, so, I just point that out. I have nothing else to say at this point,
Okay,
so.
thank you, Counselor
Great.
Winslow. Counselor Seeker, your zero lights, you're good?
I'm good.
You're good, okay. So I'm gonna recommend that we take a roll call. Does that sound okay to you? Okay. I think we should. Okay. So on the amendment.
So we have an amendment, a motion to amend by Councilor Winslow, seconded by Councilor Seega, to strike President of the Malden City Council will dismiss and replace it instead with the city solicitor will withdraw the case filed in Superior Court. So on the vote to amend, Councilor Cologne Hayes?
Yes.
Councilor Condon? Yes. Councilor Crowe?
Yes.
Councilor Linehan?
Yes.
Councilor McDonald?
Yes.
Councilor Seega?
Yes.
Councilor Simonelli? Yes. Councilor Spatafora? Councilor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilor Winslow? Yes. Okay. So that is 9-1 to amend. So we already have in a motion by Councilor Seega to adopt the order, seconded by Councilor Condon. As amended.
As amended. Counselor Spatafora.
I would just like to ask the city, I'm sorry, I don't know what that noise is, the city solicitor that if this passes, We are very clear, so I want everybody to be clear. If this passes, we're ordering the city solicitor's office to drop the lawsuit effectively as early as tomorrow. I don't know what the timelines are with court. And I would just like to have the city solicitor just acknowledge that, so everybody here hears it in spirit of transparency, and just to make sure that there's not something happening later on, just so we're clear. This vote by the council would authorize the city solicitor to drop the lawsuit effective to the trustees immediately. Is that okay?
Understood.
So I'll ask, if you don't mind, if I can ask the city solicitor.
Yes, that's clear.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Calling
Would
the
you
roll.
take the roll? Yeah.
Counselor Cologne Hayes? Yes. Counselor Condon? Yes. Counselor Crowe? Yes. Counselor Linehan?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald? Yes. Counselor Seega?
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli?
Ooh. Something wrong?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what do we have to do?
She's got her light on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question about that. May I?
In the middle of the vote? Yeah. good.
The vote, right? I think that was the problem.
I don't know, do
I
we?
mean, we should
Okay.
probably finish the vote. Is it pertinent to the resolution of how this vote happens?
Yes, in terms of my office, yes, I have a question.
Okay.
You gotta go through the vote, because we went this before.
Okay.
We stopped in the middle of the vote. Let's go through the vote. We have to change it.
We're almost done.
Counselor Spatafora?
Yes.
Counselor Taylor? Yes. Counselor Winslow?
Yes.
Okay, so that is a 10-0 vote to adopt the order as amended.
You have the floor.
Okay, so if Council President O'Malley wants to continue the lawsuit, is it that we're dropping the lawsuit, or the city solicitor's office is withdrawing from the lawsuit?
That's why I wanted to keep them in that ordinance. That's why I wanted to have them in that ordinance, that we order the president to do so. That's exactly what I was working on.
We have two other papers here that we can amend.
So the way this vote was taken, it says that the solicitor will withdraw the lawsuit.
Withdraw, oh, not dismiss,
That's right, not to say, dismiss was part of the amendment, to change the word dismiss to withdraw.
withdraw, okay. That's,
Okay.
well, we're withdrawing our appearance, that's what I want to understand, because withdrawing the lawsuit is different than withdrawing our appearance.
To dismiss.
If,
Withdraw the case. Withdrawing the lawsuit. It says
Withdraw
withdraw
the
the case
case.
filed in Superior Court.
Dismiss. Dismiss? I'll yield to Steve. He's an attorney.
Okay.
What would be the appropriate thing? Would we
I had dismissed.
withdraw or motion to dismiss? We don't usually withdraw, is that it?
we normally withdraw our well, yes, we can withdraw the lawsuit, but my issue here is if Counselor O'Malley wants to continue this lawsuit and we withdraw the entire lawsuit, then I just don't want there to be any unethical or anything on the legal department in the sense of we're upsetting his rights to go forward on the lawsuit.
Sue individually. He can sue personally.
So I just want to be clear what the city council is ordering my office to do, because again, we can withdraw the entire lawsuit if that's the order, but I also want to be clear that if Councilor President O'Malley wants to continue the lawsuit on his own and we withdraw the entire lawsuit, it may negatively affect his position.
Okay. Counselor McDonald, I see your light on. Would you like to speak on this?
Yes. Yes, that was my intent, was that the city withdraw the entire lawsuit. I think if Counselor O'Malley wants to seek a lawsuit against the library if Ryan O'Malley, as a private citizen, wants to sue the library, I don't believe we can stop him from doing that, but I don't think that it's proper to even use the resources and the platform that's already been invested by the city at this point for him to do so. So I think that is the goal here, and I do just want to hold, Councilor Spatafora's point that whatever, this was all news to me. I did not know there was, and so whatever led to this lawsuit, I do hope that this discussion here helps the leadership of the library understand that this body holds you in esteem and respect. and that we also want to seek the resolution of whatever the issues were. So this is not a like validating, we're not even getting into all that. We do, clearly there's something that needs to be resolved. This is just not the way to do it. So I think my understanding of my vote was that we are ordering the city solicitor to withdraw the entire lawsuit as if it had never been filed.
Thank you, Councilor McDonald. Councilor Simonelli.
Thank you, Madam President. So I just, again, City Solicitor's Office, I just want to make sure that, because you seem to like mention Council President O'Malley 3 times that way. Are you insinuating anything? Or, I mean, he can just go seek this on his own as a private citizen, but once we withdraw it as a body of the council, it's done, right? He can't come in a capacity of the council president and pick this thing up again, right? He can come in as Ryan O'Malley, Joe Citizen Club, and wants to do it.
I was just referring to him in his title. It
Okay,
had nothing
all
to
right,
do with
okay,
this.
all right. Because I, you know, I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. Once we withdraw it here in the council from this body, it's over for us here on the council, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Councilor
Thank you.
Simonelli. I don't know where our clerk went. Everything okay? He recused himself from this paper, which we're still discussing, though. Right? We're still discussing the original, we're actually on the same paper. But we're not out of order and not taking him back in the room, right? We're discussing clarity on the vote we took.
Yeah.
Right?
Are you talking about his presence? Are you talking about Ryan's presence? Yeah. So I just informed him that he was able to come back in because we were done with that vote. And he said that he's not coming in just yet.
Okay. So we can take up the next paper?
I believe so.
Okay, then let's move on to the next paper.
Paper 281-25, order that the city solicitor and the staff of the city solicitor's office immediately cease and desist from representing Ryan O'Malley in the case filed in Superior Court on May 22nd, 2025, against the trustees of the Malden Public Library, case number 2581-CV-01275. The city solicitor and the staff of the city solicitor's office are prohibited from filing any future litigation on behalf of the Malden City Council without first obtaining authorization to do so by an affirmative vote of the city council.
Okay. Councilor Sika for the paper.
Thank you, Madam President. After listening to Alicia, do we want to keep this?
I second it.
I mean, at this point, we might as well. I was okay with removing it, but after listening to her, I think maybe we should vote on it. So I make a motion, I order that the city solicitors,
This is a motion to adopt the order.
this is,
Motion to
yes,
adopt.
to adopt the order.
Okay. Who seconded, I'm sorry? Okay. Should we let's do a roll call vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Winslow did first.
Yeah, sorry, Councilor McDonald.
Yeah, just 2 clarifications on this point. I mean, I actually think we could place this one and the next one on file, but if my colleagues want to take a vote on this, I'm fine to do that. The fact that we're ordering the city solicitor's office to immediately cease and desist, does that prohibit them from then withdrawing, doing the withdrawal that we just ordered them to do? Which would be under the name of Council President O'Malley.
I see.
Following the withdrawal.
Of the case.
That's what I would recommend. And then I would also just say, you know, I think it's fine to say that, to include in this order the point about without obtaining authorization, but I really think that needs a separate paper and to live not in an order, but in a council rule or an ordinance or something more permanent.
I will point out that the cease and desist is, the clerk pointed out to me that the cease and desist is for representing Councilor O'Malley. So
Yeah, I understand, but in order to, there will have to be a motion filed to withdraw the case, correct? And that will be an active representation as Councilor O'Malley is the plaintiff in the case.
They would be representing the city at that point, though.
Well, I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
I mean, if you want to make sure so no one overthinks it or
Right.
reads into it too much, then an amendment is fine, saying that, just to be certain. I just want to make sure we cover everything here.
Counselor Spatafora.
I just want to make sure we're very clear. I think the litigation says that they're filing, the filing's against the Malden trustees, library trustees. The librarian is not a trustee, but named in that litigation. I think we should specifically call out the librarian because she's not part of that body, so she shouldn't have been included in that lawsuit anyways. But to be very clear, that lawsuit ends as well. So, I don't know how you want to do it, but I think we should name, we don't have to name her by name, but we should say the head librarian of the Malden Library should be also withdrawn that lawsuit. Because it's included in the body with the trustees, but she's not a trustee. So I don't want a technicality for that to be hanging out there. So I think we should specifically also include that.
Well, it says case number, and she's included.
Okay, that's
Case
fine. As
number.
long, is that good?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Yep. Now-
Appreciate it, Madam President.
Okay, so for clarity, just to recap, the suggested changes are to, somebody help me, what you want to.
So order that the city solicitor and the staff of the city solicitor's office immediately cease and desist from representing Ryan O'Malley, immediately following withdrawal of case number, maybe include the case number. Cease and desist, that they cease and desist from representing Ryan O'Malley, blah, 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 blah.
Immediately following, okay.
Did you write that down? Because I didn't. Okay. I was reading it, but I didn't write it down.
You have a question? No. Okay.
Are you okay with that, Counselor? Don't. Okay, just in case.
Yeah, Counselor Spatafora.
Should it read, thank you, Madam President, should it read that they voluntarily, the city solicitor voluntarily dismiss and then cease and desist after that? We're voluntarily dismissing.
Well, that was already done in the paper previously,
Is that written
I
that
feel
way?
like.
Is that written that way, though?
It wasn't.
I really feel like this is muddying things.
We're reading into this. I feel like too much.
As long as the city solicitor is happy with the link, I just want to make sure it's very clear what's happening, and the city is sending the message that we're voluntarily coming out of the lawsuit. I just want to be very clear in the intent, because I know sometimes things get lost in and I just want to make sure.
Can I
that-
ask for the solicitor?
Yeah.
I am feeling like we're kind of complicating this.
We are.
We're adding so much, I feel like the more language you add, the more there is to pick apart. I am tempted to say that we recommend that we place it on file. I just don't feel like this is adding, it's making it worse. In your professional opinion, what would be a better course of action here?
I would place it on file because we're already ordered to withdraw the entire lawsuit. And it's clear from this meeting that we're not to file a lawsuit unless we come for the city council or any members of the city council until we come before the body, whether it's in order or not. It's clear to me. So I think the first order is sufficient in my opinion.
The part that it touches on about future litigation, I feel like if we.
Amanda, really quickly?
Yeah.
I'm okay with making that motion to place
Okay.
that on file because it'll cover it in 28325,
Yeah, I agree.
actually.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
It'll say that.
Okay, right.
You know what I mean?
That's
So
exactly
we
what I was
are
just gonna
reading,
say.
You know, it's getting late. People are getting tired, I feel like, and we're overthinking this whole process to make
Great.
sure that what we want to accomplish this evening actually gets accomplished. So I make a motion to place 28125 on file. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we need to roll call that? Can we
Voice
voice
is
vote?
fine.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? I got it now. Thanks for bearing with me tonight.
Sorry.
All right. That motion carries. So we
That
have
paper has been
next
placed
order
on
of
file,
business.
And we are moving on to paper 282-25. Order that no city resources are utilized for the purpose of supporting or reimbursing legal fees or court expenses incurred by Ryan O'Malley, whether in his official or personal capacity, in the case filed in Superior Court on May 22nd, 2025, against the trustees of the Malden Public Library, case number 2581 CV 01275.
Can I really quickly? I'm sorry, I thought you left my light on. Thank you, I thought you left my
I
light on.
tried to get all the lights down, it was a lot of
I
light.
apologize, but really quickly, just for everybody at home, I added all these different papers in thinking that maybe some of them may not have passed, so bear with us, that's why it seems a little bit like it's the same information over and over again, but in case a paper fails, you need to have backup to do another thing. So, paper 28225, I'd make a motion to place it on file.
Okay, do I have a second? Second. All right, Counselor Winslow, motion to place on file. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. Okay. Next order of business.
Paper 283-25, order that members of the Malden City Council be prohibited from initiating litigation in their official capacity on behalf of the City Council or as a representative of the City Council without first obtaining authorization to do so by an affirmative vote of the City Council.
Okay. Counselor Sika for the paper.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I added this one, although I thought that this was already something that we were following, but I felt like it needed to be added to the agenda again, just to hit this one home, to let everyone up here know that we should not be initiating litigation without the full city council approval. So I would like to adopt the order that the members of the Malden City Council be prohibited from initiating litigation in their official capacity on behalf of the city council or as a representative of the city council without first obtaining full authorization of the full city council. Thank you.
I would like to be added as co-sponsor on this one, so, but
Yay.
otherwise, yeah, thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Counselor Sika and Counselor Winslow.
I know.
So that was seconded by Councilor Crowe.
Okay, seconded by Counselor Crowe. Any other discussion on the paper?
The motion was to adopt the order on paper 283-25.
Councilor McDonald wants to be added.
As a sponsor.
Okay.
Are you ready for a roll call?
Yeah, I'm good.
Councilor Cologne Hayes?
Wait, I have my light on.
Oh,
I apologize. Counselor
good.
O'Malley.
Welcome. Hello, everyone. So yeah, I agree with this in principle. I mean, this is something that I've been asking for years now. I've asked the city solicitor, I've asked the council as a whole, how do we, in executive session many times, I guess this is kind of what we're talking about. How do we initiate lawsuits and who decides that? Councilor Cologne Hayes did touch on that. I have the city's current litigation list here in front of me. And, this is, the city initiates litigation relatively frequently. And it's interesting that we are only now wanting to get involved when the individuals who are, subject to that litigation are, family members of some of our counselors, are very close family friends of some of our counselors, have maybe been at their wedding. So I do find it really interesting that it's this lawsuit that gets the city council's attention. Not when we're suing some of our, campaign opponents or former campaign opponents. Not when it's people who are trying to get public records that may or may not show their child being, negligently treated by the city. I'm glad that we're having this conversation. I don't know if this is correct. I don't know if it's even legally valid. I do know that shooting from the hip like this is probably not the right way to go. I wish I had had a chance to talk to y'all in executive session. You didn't give me that opportunity. I feel bad for the city solicitor and your department in terms of what decisions you need to make in the next couple days. But I do want everyone to know that the actions that I took were not taken lightly. I stand by the decisions that I made. I think that in the wash, when it all comes out, my name will be clean when it comes to that. I definitely don't measure it by some of my colleagues' opinions of me, but I do measure it by some others. And I hope that y'all will give me the benefit of the doubt when this does come out in the wash. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor O'Malley. Counselor Taylor, or is that wishful thinking?
Oh, it is.
Counselor Spatafor.
Again, Counselor O'Malley, I love how you come out and you're the victim and, you know, you're gonna come out in the wash. And to be quite honest with you, I ask everybody in the public, forget the library people, just read the lawsuit. Read his communication between him and the librarian. It's just not how you talk to people. It's basic human respect. The last thing I would say, he's mixing and muddying the waters. The city is like any other institution. We get sued all the time. The city doesn't get involved in those lawsuits until there's a settlement, when the cash is there. I'm not gonna, we don't speak to lawsuits. But the idea that Council O'Malley now is saying because he's the victim and we're all of a sudden stepping into it, it's the same question, and I don't know why everybody here is having this trouble. I think the council understood. It is not whether the city council has the ability to sue anybody. We're not debating that. It's one individual on this body entitled to order the city solicitor to sue on behalf. The answer is abundantly clear, no. Because if if Alicia is representing you in that case, who's going to represent the rest of us? She has a conflict. That's all. It's that simple. It's not the litigation. It's if you came to this body and asked this body, just like you do for a calendar change or settling a lawsuit, that is the merit here, Council O'Malley. And for you to come here and say, well, there's a private city who's getting sued, we've never gotten involved. There's hundreds of lawsuits. You know that. And some of those lawsuits go to the school committee, and they have a separate legal department for that. So why are you involved now? Why am I involved now? Because you're representing your family member, that's why. There's nothing. Yes, you're suing my family member. That's exactly what I'm worried about.
Address your comments to the chair.
I am suing now because you put a lawsuit out against the library without the authorization of this body. And look to all around except the one to your left who supported this. In fact, Karen did support it at the end. You did. You didn't vote? You just didn't vote against it? You didn't vote for it? Of course I did. That's what you said. You all voted for it. Even to your left. I'm sorry, you voted for it. You voted for it. I'm sorry. Everybody voted for it. So, Council O'Malley, Council O'Malley, you want to play the victim. You didn't have the authorization to sue. It's as plain as that. And the council told you.
That's not what I heard from my legal counsel.
And I was waiting for this. I actually knew you were going to throw our legal committee at it.
I'm not throwing it. I'm the only person outstanding.
Alicia, did you say it was all right for the sue? And I hate to put you on the spot.
Hang on, I got you.
You don't have to stand.
Okay, so just for clarity, when Council President O'Malley came to my department regarding this lawsuit, I want to let everybody, I want to be clear about this. We would never sue in someone's individual capacity. So if Councilor Spatafor came to me and said, we want to sue because X, Y, and Z, and it's in his personal capacity, that would not happen. Council President O'Malley came to my department and to me, and it was in his capacity as the council president. And that is the reason why we filed the lawsuit, because he was the council president. It wasn't because of anything else, but because we filed the lawsuit in his capacity as the city council president.
And the discussion we had through email, as I said, I completely disagree with that. I said respectfully.
Yes, you did.
I don't think you have the authority to do so by one council member, and I still stand by that. And if council, which I'm sure Council O'Malley will take this all the way, I would stand by that, the AG, because I'm sure this is not going to end. But my point is, this is an attack at the body. It's not who you're suing. It's not a relative issue. Because to be quite honest with you, Council O'Malley, I was hoping they had the ability to countersue, because then you would have to come to us and ask for more money. And then we would have shown really where the victimization is. Again, you're the champion of justice. You're going out there and now disparaging the trustees, the families, the whole nine yards. I mean, you want to talk about racism. You just, the 5 families in the city. Grow up. Grow up. You want to fight the library, sue in your own capacity. You're an attorney, do it. Don't use city funds. And this is not the first time in the last 3 weeks that you've allowed your presidency to go to your head. Because I believe the AG's office is involved in another complaint, which we'll bring out at a later date. This is a patent. This is a patent. And the council recognized this one, and they'll recognize the next one.
Okay, seeing no other lights, I think it's about ready to wrap this up. I was gonna say, please don't. That was not an invitation to put on your light.
So this is a motion by Counselor Seeker, seconded by Counselor Crowe, to adopt the order on paper 283-25. Counselor Cologne Hayes?
Yes.
Counselor Condon?
Is he okay?
283-25, order that the members of the City Council be prohibited from initiating litigation in their official capacity on behalf of the City Council or as a representative of the City Council without first obtaining authorization to do so by an affirmative vote of the City Council. Counselor Condon, would you like to vote on this paper? Thank you. Counselor Crowe?
Mine too.
Counselor Linehan?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald? Yes. Counselor Seeker?
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli? Counselor Spatafora? Yes. Counselor Taylor? Yes. Counselor Winslow? Yes. Counselor O'Malley?
Present.
Okay, 10-0. I think that concludes the library papers for
I
the
think
night.
it
We have to
does.
go back to the
Yeah,
agenda and
where
start
do
from
we
the
have to
beginning.
go? Lucky you. Do you want you need your annotated agenda back, right?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. Here's your planner.
So we're going back to motions, orders, and resolutions, paper 274-25.
Happy anniversary.
The Zybergs.
Oh, stop. This is how you spend 35 years.
Yeah. I do feel bad for Alan.
Are we ready to proceed?
Yeah, we're at 274.
274-25. Order, the City Council will vote on whether to sell or retain the property known as 26 Central Avenue and by the City Assessor's Parcel Identification Number 187-577-702 as in accordance with tax title litigation and foreclosure action with the Massachusetts Land Court, case number 22-TL000346. This is sponsored by Councilor Seeker, and we have Treasurer Grover with us tonight.
Welcome, Mr. Grover. Thank you so much for coming. I am gonna, Councilor Seeker, do you have anything to say, or should I just hand it straight over to Treasurer Grover? Councilor Seeker, you don't have anything to say, right?
You can send it over to him.
Councilor Cullen Hayes wants to recuse herself. You're recused.
Don't we vote on recusals?
I don't think we do, but if y'all want to vote.
I mean,
always
when have we
voted
never voted
to
on
recuse.
Yeah,
recusals?
I mean,
Always.
all those in favor, you're recused.
All of a sudden,
Oh,
because I am on a board that could possibly purchase this property for affordable housing.
thank you, Councilor Cullen Hayes.
Thank you.
Do we have a second or a vote, or
I
are we
don't
just
know.
ignoring that process?
Councilor Grover. I mean,
I haven't run
Treasurer Grover. You've been up,
Not quite sure I want
Thank
to.
you, Councilor Crowe.
you get paid less now, but, I'm kidding.
All right, thank you. First, I'd like to say that I'm a little disappointed that nobody's here to watch my, nobody's here to see me. Well, it's all right. Sorry. So I'm here again to discuss the same thing that we discussed 2 weeks ago. 26 Central Ave, we were just awarded a judgment through Land Court, and now today is our deadline for 14 days to make a decision on retain or sell. I communicated this information to Council President O'Malley as well as Councilor Seeker because, including the mayor and the city clerk, because this property sits in Councilor Seeker's ward. This property in question has been abandoned for, I think, over 5 years. It's been quite some time. It's somewhat dilapidated. The current owner is living in the Dexter house. They're not really all with it. They do have one relative that, should they decide to come claim any excess equity, should you decide to sell, or if we decide to retain, they would be eligible for it. But my suggestion here today is a little bit different than the last time. I would suggest that the council elect to sell, and then we do so forthwith. There's no reason to delay the sale to try to get some sort of post-settlement judgment, because the person that owns the property is not really in a position to ever be able to move back to that house, and their living relative is not in a position to pay the outstanding liabilities. They also live out of state, I think in New Jersey. I'm sure they'll be more than capable of coming to collect the money when it's time, but I would suggest that we sell as soon as possible. Related to this, as soon as possible would be once we do have a realtor determined. We're putting out an RFP next week. It'll be advertised, I believe, the 11th, to solicit some realtors so we can make an appropriate decision as far as through the RFP process, and then elect a realtor then to be able to facilitate this sale and any other sales that we may go through for tax title or other property dispositions, should that so happen. So that's all I really have for 26 Central Ave. It's pretty short and sweet, and be more than happy to answer any questions.
Just quickly, how much is owed on the property?
As of January was $68,000, according to land, that was what was filed at the land court. Now it is closer to $75,000 and change.
And does that include or not include legal fees?
That includes it's in excess of $75,000 as of January 14th.
Okay.
Which was based on the land court's last filing.
Okay.
That we made. And the residence is assessed through the assessor at $516,000. It will probably fetch a little bit less than that because it is dilapidated and been abandoned for quite some time.
Counselor Sika, do you have any motions or anything?
I'll make a motion.
So on Counselor Sika's motion to adopt the order, is there a second? Second. Counselor McDonald has a question.
Yeah, the last time we went through these, we put a 30-day clock on this.
This wasn't recommended for this one.
This wasn't recommended for this one?
Yep, I'd be happy to address that though.
Okay. All right. Great. Then, yes, did you still need a second?
No, you interrupted, I didn't know who seconded, someone seconded, but I didn't
Okay.
hear it.
Great.
You want to, Counselor McDonald wants to second it, okay, so, Counselor
question.
Winslow.
I guess one of the questions I have is, if we retain it, that it becomes city property?
That is correct.
But then we would have to pay some difference then, so that's the.
Correct. We would have to pay whatever the equity is, the difference between the outstanding liabilities and the date in which we were awarded the property and any costs related to that. We would have to go through an appraisal process, get at least 3 appraisals for the fair market value of the property, and then we would have to put that net difference between the appraised value and the outstanding liabilities in an account to pay to the current owner and or heirs. So in this particular instance, we'll call it $500,000 less 75, we gotta come up with $425,000, which we do not have. At least not that I'm aware of, to make these kind of purchases. But
Okay.
yes,
Yeah, I just, as mentioned about affordable housing is, I know like if we were selling like a former school or something like that, that we own with fee simple, that we could put conditions on selling it in a certain way, but this would just be a straight sale, and then all right, so, no, I'm fine, we can proceed, thank you.
Can I just ask a quick question? Of course. Dan, really quickly, you mentioned $68,000 in taxes, but we've been maintaining this property for years. Do we know how much that's cost us?
offhand, I don't know the cumulative cost for since the 68,000, I can get that. We are continuing to accumulate legal fees and maintenance of the property.
Yeah, because I have, surrounding residents that anytime it's overgrown, I'm getting a phone call because we're maintaining this property. The front door is boarded up. There's been a red X on the front. It's been in problem properties for years. It's a huge eyesore in this neighborhood. They are going to be ecstatic. I think you told me somebody went out to look at it today, and all the neighbors came running out asking what was going on, because it is just, it's at the bottom of Central Ave, down near CVS. It's a complete eyesore. It's on the corner of Greenwood, and I welcome, it's unfortunate, but I welcome this, so thank you.
Thank you. Well, actually, I do have one question.
Yeah.
There are two other properties that we may need to address, one over the summer. Is that something that we should discuss in this moment before the paper is passed, or do we have to wait as far as? order
From an
information?
open meeting law perspective, you probably cannot talk about it right now. But what I would say is definitely share that with us as soon as possible, and we can get it on the agenda. And I don't know if maybe we can preemptively authorize you to sell it once it, comes,
Okay.
That probably, we could handle it before the summer, yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay, so on Counselor Sika's motion to adopt the order, seconded by Counselor McDonald, the clerk will call the roll.
I want to clarify that when you say adopted the order, you're voting to sell the property. Yes. Because the vote says whether to sell or retain.
Yep.
This is a vote to sell the property. Counselor Cologne Hayes is not here. Counselor Condon, oh, that's right, she recused, sorry. Counselor Condon. Counselor Crowe. Counselor Linehan. Counselor McDonald. Counselor Sika. Counselor Simonelli. Counselor Spatafora. Counselor Taylor. Counselor Winslow. Counselor O'Malley.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a 10-0 vote to go
10 to
ahead and
0,
adopt that
that
order to
passed.
sell. Paper 275-25, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden, 1.04.070, procedure for selling tax title property, is hereby amended by striking in its entirety, inserting with the following. This is sponsored by Councilor Winslow.
Counselor Winslow for the paper.
Yeah, this is something that Mr. Grover also submitted to make this procedure clearer. So this is something we just got to refer to rules and ordinance and then discuss it there. So, yeah.
On Counselor Winslow's motion to refer to ordinance, is there a second? Second by Counselor Spatafora. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's referred to ordinance.
We should have called Karen back in before we took that.
I'll go get her.
This chair is like not that comfortable. You have to lean forward. It might be because I'm short.
It's at a different height, that's why.
It is, but also these things are like.
Does the council want to let Counselor Cologne Hayes vote on the last paper that we forgot to call her back for? Is that unanimous consent? Counselor Cologne Hayes, we voted in the affirmative on paper 275-25, which was to refer that paper to ordinance. Would you like to vote yea or nay?
Yay, please.
Thank you. So Counselor Cologne Hayes voted yea.
Counselor McDonald is requesting that we take paper 276 and 277 and vote them together at the same time. I will read them both now. Paper 276-25, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden 9.16 rental units inspection required is hereby amended as is outlined in the body of the attached paper. Paper 277-25, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden 9.24.010 regulation of lead pipes in residential housing is hereby amended by the following, and it's as it's written in the paper.
Thank you. I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor, and Counselor McDonald.
To both?
Yeah, thank you all.
And Counselor Spatafora, too.
That's great.
Me too.
I welcome the co-sponsor.
Does anyone like lead and not want to be added? Okay, so everyone wants to be on
Add
it.
everybody?
I ask that this just be kept off the consent agenda to just say 2 sentences about what this is and what it's not. So these papers taken together create a rental registry, which is just a comprehensive listing of anyone who is renting residential property in Malden. Now, Malden City Code, as you all may already know, 1, already requires inspections when a rental unit turns over that we know is not consistently even known about, much less followed. And you're supposed to tell the city that you are a landlord, I think if it's at least 3 units or above. Then we charge you a fee for the inspection, which disincentivizes the inspection, right? We also already have in ordinance, which I'm sure some of you voted for, that any rental unit should be free of lead pipes. But again, there's no way to verify this if you don't do the inspection. This is coming at the time when we have already reorganized the Health and Human Services and Inspectional Services Department. And so what it would just do is it slightly reorganizes these two sections of the code to create a rental registry as an independent thing where landlords have to register for a small fee per unit per year. The inspections are free, and that we have to certify all of the things you have to certify from a health perspective and the lead pipe certification. Or that you have a plan to remediate that, I think, within a year. And this is coming at the time when we already just authorized resources to be able to ensure that we can remove all lead pipes. So we worked with the building commissioner and strategic planning and community development about this. This is actually a pretty common thing in a lot of other Massachusetts cities and towns, but the rental registry would also, again, slightly adapting something that's already in code, require that if you don't live near Malden, you appoint a local agent who will be responsive to us. So that for problem properties and everything else, there is a mechanism by which we can compel people to actually engage with us about the status of their properties. This is not at all meant to demonize landlords. There are lots of we want good landlords. We want people to be able to rent, and we want people who run good rental properties. I'm sure there are some tweaks that we can work out in committee, but I just wanted to be clear that actually what we're just trying to do is bring coherence to the existing ordinances in a way that can actually make sure we can go after absentee landlords, enforce our lead-free drinking water when we've now put the staffing and the resources in place to let that happen. So I look forward to discussing in committee and would make a motion to refer to ordinance committee. I'm sorry? Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
I'm not an ordinance, I don't think that's why.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a point of information to the sponsor?
Yes, Councilor Taylor.
Council Taylor.
It's a joke.
Oh, it's fine. Do you know if part of this, because I know one of the challenges in the past was there wasn't a permit process when you got inspected for your lead pipes. So what happens was people would change the lead pipes, but there was no way to confirm that at City Hall. So I don't know if that's ever been addressed where, I know when somebody sells the property, they have to get that affirmative. But like right now, say you own your house, you got a lead pipe, you don't have to pull a permit to change that lead pipe. So what happens is, it's really tough to inspect after the fact it's been replaced. The only thing you see is the piece coming out of the basement usually, right? So I think part of this process is, I don't say you charge a fee, but one way to notarize, memorialize that you are updating it so that way we have a record. Because right now, there is no way for us to tell if a lead pipe has been replaced unless they had to pull a plumbing permit that affected other things in the house.
Well, it's a great question, and I think we could explore more formalization of that, but folks should know that the city did spend money on a comprehensive inventory of lead pipes, right? So you can look on the map. So the way it's phrased is like either you test to show that you're lead-free, or you get written confirmation from the city engineer who maintains that map that in fact your property is lead-free.
Okay, that's good to know. I appreciate that. Thank you. I support it.
On Councilor McDonald's motion to refer this to ordinance, seconded by Councilor Cologne Hayes. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Both papers have been referred to ordinance. We did all these.
We are in Section 8 enrolled ordinances. Paper 185-25, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden 12.12.030 use regulations is hereby amended as follows to update existing table of use regulations to correspond with recent site plan review regulations for daycare centers, nonprofit educational facilities, and religious facilities as ordained in paper 356 series of 2024.
Councilor Winslow.
We have voted to enroll this. This is just to, we had voted on amending our ordinances to require site plan review for these institutions, but we did not amend the table of uses. So this makes clear that, and makes the table of uses consistent with the ordinance that we adopted, that site plan review will be required for those uses. So we already enrolled. I make a motion to ordain.
On Councilor Winslow's motion to ordain, seconded by Councilor Spatafora, is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Cologne Hayes? Counselor Condon is not in the room. Counselor Crowe?
Yes.
Counselor Linehan? Yes. Counselor McDonald? Yes. Counselor Seega?
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli? Yes. Counselor Spatafora? Yes. Counselor Taylor? Yes. Counselor Winslow?
Yes.
Council President O'Malley?
Yes, that passes 10 to 0.
No? Paper 171, this is just in order to ordain. It's a second vote. Paper 171-25, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that Title 12 of the Code of the City of Malden is hereby amended to eliminate the development cap in the MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay Subdistrict MCMOD-MD1 and eliminate the effective date of final approval by the state of our district compliance application per the determination issued by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. Councilor Winslow is the sponsor.
Yeah, so as you recall from last meeting, we enrolled this. This was a technical change that was requested by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities to adjust some of our the zones based on, one of the zones we adopted was an Overlook Ridge that had no, I don't know if it actually was an overlook, but we had, actually this was altitudes, that when we adopted the MBTA Communities Act, we put a cap on some things there, and the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities did not like that cap. So then what we did was rejigger the zones so that excess land is really going to go in overlook. So it's just a technical amendment that was suggested by Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, and then the Planning Board had the hearings. City Planner Michelle Romero could explain a little bit more, but we did enroll it, and so that's all we're doing is I make a motion to ordain. So.
On Counselor Winslow's motion to ordain, seconded by Counselor Crowe. I'm going to take roll call vote on these ones. The clerk will call the roll. I just want to make sure we do these right.
Counselor Cologne Hayes? Yes. Counselor Condon is not in the room. Counselor Crowe?
Yes.
Counselor Linehan?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Seega?
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli? Yes. Counselor Spatafora is also not in the room. Counselor Taylor? Yes. Counselor Winslow?
Yes.
Counselor O'Malley?
Yes.
That is 9 to 0.
9 to 0, that has been ordained.
So then I would like to make a motion to take paper 17255 off the table, so
17225 is the floodplain districts.
55.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Counselor Linehan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Paper 17225 has been taken from the table. Counselor Winslow.
I didn't read it into the,
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
The
sorry.
clerk will read it into the record.
paper 172-25, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden 12.08.040 floodplains, 12.12.110 floodplain districts, 12.32.060 definition zoning are hereby amended to include new regulations as required by FEMA so that referenced areas will remain eligible for FEMA-sponsored flood insurance programs.
Counselor Winslow.
So this paper did come back, and we did accept the committee report at last meeting. But one of the committee recommendations from the planning board was to have legal and building inspection services review the paper just to see if they had any comment. I did speak with City Solicitor O'Neill and Director of Inspectional Services Nelson Miller, and they did not have any further comments. That I think there was Solicitor McNeil did look at a couple provisions related to abrogation, disclaimer of liability and severability, and she was satisfied with the language that was in the ordinance. So I would just make a motion to enroll, and this will help. The purpose of this ordinance update is to ensure that we update our zoning code to be up to the July 8th, 2025 FEMA map that's being adopted, so that residents in the flood zone will be eligible for FEMA flood insurance. So that's the driving force of this. So So I'd make a motion to enroll.
Counselor Winslow's motion to enroll, seconded by Counselor Sika. Any discussion on the motion to enroll paper 17225 related to the floodplain districts? Seeing none, all those in favor, the clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Cologne Hayes? Counselor Crowe?
Yes.
Counselor Linehan?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Sika?
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli? Counselor Spatafora?
Yes.
Counselor Taylor?
Yes.
Counselor Winslow?
Yes.
Counselor O'Malley?
Yes. Counselor Condon's here now.
Counselor Condon to enroll
On-
paper 172,
Counselor-
floodplain.
Counselor Condon, 172 on floodplain districts. It's about whether or not people can have flood insurance. Would you like to vote yes? Yes. Counselor Condon votes yes.
That is 10-0 vote.
All right,
Paper's been enrolled.
all right, thank you. Okay,
Okay. So, we are now, you and I are on page 6, old business, paper 284-25. Communication. The council will move to ratify the 9-0 unanimous roll call vote taken during the meeting of May 20th, 2025, on papers 255 and 256, series of 2025, regarding tax title litigation and foreclosure action on properties 42 Crescent Avenue and 40-42 Wentworth Street respectfully.
Just to clarify, this is to ratify the decision that we made when we had to amend our agenda within the 48-hour business. And so this is just to ratify that for any open meeting law potential impact. I can't make any motions, but this is my paper.
Make a motion.
to ratify. Second.
First, we're going to vote individually on each of the papers, but would anybody like to make a motion to receive and file the communication? Thank you.
On Counselor McDonald's motion to receive and file the communication, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The communication is received.
Paper 255-25, order the council will vote on whether to sell or retain the property known as 42 Crescent Avenue and by the city assessor's parcel identification number 072-824-410 as in accordance with tax title litigation and foreclosure action with the Massachusetts Land Court, case number 24 TL 000383. This is a motion to ratify.
Is there a motion? Counselor Crow's, I think it was Counselor Crow's motion to ratify, seconded by Counselor Sika. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That was unanimous.
Paper 256-25, order the council will vote on whether to sell or retain the property known as 40-42 Wentworth Street and by the city assessor's parcel identification number 029145518 as in accordance with tax title litigation and foreclosure action with the Massachusetts Land Court, case number 22 TL 000343. And again, this is a motion to ratify.
On Counselor Sika's motion, seconded by Counselor Crowe. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passed unanimously.
Communication, 285-25, communication from the Planning Board regarding CCP 186-2025, usable open space requirements, general off-street parking requirements.
On Counselor Winslow's motion to accept the communication, seconded by Counselor Simonelli. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's received. The clerk will read the paper. Sorry.
Paper 186-25, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden, Title 12 zoning, is hereby amended as follows to be considered in conjunction with Paper 153, Series of 2025, to clarify and update existing usable open space requirements and regulations regarding paving of yard areas of residential property.
Counselor Winslow.
Yeah, maybe we should accept the communication on paper 153, 2025 as well, and then we can talk about both at the same time.
Paper 286-25 is a communication from the Planning Board regarding CCP Paper 153/2025 off-street off-site parking lots, general off-street parking requirements.
Yeah, so
On
motion to
Counselor
accept.
Winslow's motion to receive, second by Counselor Simonelli. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The committee report's received. Counselor Winslow.
Okay, yeah, so these papers, they relate to some updates related to the amount of paving of yards of residential properties. So the planning board recommended these favorably, but there was a little bit of overlap between the papers. So generally, just a few things related to the papers. One of the key things was to, what we've seen is under our current zoning where we do require space on residential properties to be landscaped. People were basically just putting down crushed stone or other things that are impermeable and really weren't, some of the intent of the regulations was to make sure that water is retained on site. So one part of the purpose of these papers is to really clarify that landscaping needs to be able to retain water. And so it was really to require that materials that not be overly compacted surfaces like crushed stone or dust. And then, really specify the materials that are to encourage water infiltration. And so that was really a key thing. Also, just clarifying how we have some requirements about making sure 50% of front yards and side yards are devoted to lawn or landscaping. So just clarifying those things. So that's really what it's related to, is just trying to make sure that this zoning ordinance is already really trying to make sure that residential properties have green space that is retaining water actually are fulfilling that intent. So the planning board recommendations was for to approve parts of paper 153, 2025 as they related to for the section 12.12.090B, and then as to 12.12.02.I5, but then not approve some sections, things in paper 153, but then adopt the ones that are in paper 18625. So the language of 18625 would be to no more than 50% of any individual yard, front yard combined, may be used for parking, or maybe surfaced. So there were some recommendations to do that with edits. So I guess to talk about, I guess the motion I would make was to adopt the planning board recommendations and on paper 153 in 2025 in terms of recommending that two parts, the first two amendments, paper 153, 2025 be adopted, that the third recommendation for amendment be rejected, and then approve the amendments that the planning board supported for paper 186, 2025. So that's confusing, but that's what it is. So
Yeah, it's very confusing. I'm reading it and it's confusing.
Yeah, it's confusing.
So just so I understand. Yeah, so I see that there are 5 recommendations from the planning board. 1, 2, 4, and 5 recommend approval. Number 3 is disapproval. We have the city planner. Would you mind explaining what disapproval of number 3 means? One second, my apologies.
Thank you. Well, I'm sorry. So the question is what the disapproval is?
Yeah, because if you look at number three says general off-street parking, and then it goes to replace something about front yards, and then it says this proposal would replace it with the following, but then there's like options.
Okay, so regarding paper 153, a portion of paper 153 was a proposed amendment of this section 1220.020 I-12. And that particular amendment of that section, the planning board recommends disapproval. In paper 186, there's another amendment proposed of the same existing section. And the planning board recommended approval of one of the options that was recommended, that was proposed. So both recommendation 3 of paper 153 and planning board recommendation 2 of paper 186 concern the same provision. There were two proposed amendments to that same provision. So the planning board recommended disapproval of one, the one that was proposed in 153, and approval of one of the versions that was proposed in 186. 186 had a couple alternative language provisions, just so there'd be some flexibility for you to consider. And so what's listed in the recommendation, the May 19th recommendation, is the language that they're recommending, the proposed language that's recommending.
So let's see.
Okay, understood.
If that
Thank you.
clarifies, I don't
So
know.
Counselor Winslow, are you accepting all of the planning board's recommendations, both from an approval perspective and a disapproval perspective?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would recommend, so,
Okay,
so.
sorry. I was there, and it's
Yeah.
still confusing.
Yeah, so, all right.
Is there a second to Counselor Winslow's motion? Second by Counselor Simonelli. Any questions on this?
Yeah, I do. I have a question. So we're talking about paper 186, and we are making a motion to accept all all 5 of the planning board recommendations.
So, well, but on paper 18625, I'm just trying to see, so there's two amendments, let's see, so the amendment, so for paper, I guess, so we gotta do on 186, so, just seeing. So we, so I guess the first thing would be to, did the planning board, did they make any, they didn't make any recommendations of amendments to 18625, let's see, I'm just trying to see.
They did.
Okay.
186,
Okay.
18625,
Okay,
they recommended approval as proposed of the 1216.080C section.
okay,
But then the 1220.020 I-12 section, they recommended approval of certain proposed language.
all right, so I
So
guess.
that's what's written in the amendment,
All right.
in the recommendation.
So then I guess I will make a motion to amend paper 18625 per the recommendations of the planning board.
Correct. Second by Counselor Simonelli.
So then we,
And with that, all those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? That,
You're not amending the paper. You're either taking their recommendations or you're not taking them.
we're taking their recommendations to amend the paper, and then we're gonna,
You are accepting all 5 recommendations.
Well, the thing is,
There's 2 and 3. They're
So-
2 separate sets of
so
recommendations.
this is, there's a different set of recommendations on 18625.
Paper 153 has its own 3 recommendations.
So,
Numbers 4 and 5 go to paper 186, and then numbers 1, 2, and 3 refer to paper 153.
correct. So the first 3, yeah, exactly. So for 15325, we're accepting the first 3 recommendations of the planning board, which is what we just voted. That was voted to amend it to that.
Right.
Do we take that vote? Yeah, we
well,
voted
yeah,
to
we
amend it.
haven't voted to amend per the recommendations on paper 18625.
Because we'll take up 153 first. Oh, it's second. Oh, I forgot.
Second,
It's
yeah,
second.
yeah,
Okay,
so I was gonna make the motion to amend paper 18625 first per the planning board recommendations, so.
Is there a sec?
Well, but, no, we haven't done 150, I'm trying to mow 18625, so. So, yeah, so 18625 was the first paper on the,
Okay.
listed on the agenda. So I'm making a motion there to accept, amend paper 18625.
Per the planning board recommendation.
Per the planning board recommendation. So that's the
Which is
first-
number 4 and 5 of the recommendations.
Well, but no, their recommendation, I have I'm seeing a memo from May 19th, 2025, and I'm seeing it as, there's two recommendations. So I guess I would say, per their memo of May 19th, 2025, which was the communications that came in.
Yeah, that's correct.
So that is.
Oh, you're doing it from, okay, so you're doing it from the top.
Right.
I
so-
was doing it from their actual planning board recommendation.
Okay, so.
Planning board recommendation of May 14th.
But those were draft. So this is the actual, so the communication that came in from the planning board is the May 19th, 2025 letter that then explains what the actual recommendations the planning board passed.
That, you're reading the staff report. That's not the planning board recommendation. That's my recommendation to the planning board.
Let's see,
This is the letters are the planning board's recommendations. They didn't agree with everything in that.
So
So I wouldn't use that as the, if I may, I wouldn't use that.
is it May 19th, is that? am I
Yeah, the
referring-
May 19th is the planning board recommendation.
Right, so that's what.
That's not the same as
So
the
the
May
communication is the May
14th
19th letter. It
report,
gets
right.
confusing because she does a draft report and then the planning board makes recommendations. So it's the May,
Yeah.
so I guess.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So I guess my motion is to amend paper 18625 per the recommendations of the May 29th, 2025 Planning Board communication.
Seconded by Counselor Simonelli. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yep. Hold on.
So I think I've circled back around to understanding what we're talking
Okay,
about. But to clarify, the only amendment that the planning board actually did recommend is to say no more than 50% of an individual yard area of any property can be used for parking or may be surfaced with pavement, including but not limited to blah, blah, blah. That's the only thing they actually recommended we amend. Is that correct?
That's the actual language the other is just a recommendation to approve as submitted.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
all right.
not for nothing,
Yeah, but,
I'm sorry, we have a paper in ordinance right now that is about how we phrase things,
Okay.
and this is why.
okay.
It's discussions like this where I completely cannot understand what we're talking about, and that I think it would help to have a formulation, a standard formulation by which we consider what on earth it is that we're referring to.
Right.
So given that that sentence is what the planning board recommended, that text,
Okay.
great.
All right,
Let's
so,
do
so
it.
clarify more, so my first thing is to amend paper 186, 2025 in accordance with the second recommendation of the May 19th, 2025 Planning Board recommendation letter.
Okay, thank you.
And that's the amendment. So we gotta do that amendment first.
Well, I think you just did, right? You just
Yeah,
said
and then we
it.
just did, so that's what we just did, so clarify. So that's clarified. And so then I would, then I would make a recommendation then that we adopt paper
en- to en-
186,
to enroll.
2025, to enroll, paper 186, 2025, as amended. All right, thank you, thank you. Sorry. So, yeah.
Seconded by Counselor Simonelli. The clerk will call the roll on this one.
Counselor Cologne Hayes. Yes. Counselor Condon. Yes. Counselor Crowe.
Yes.
Counselor Linehan.
Yes.
Counselor McDonald.
Yes.
Counselor Seega. Yes. Counselor Simonelli. Yes. Counselor Spatafora. Yes. Counselor Taylor. Yes. Counselor Winslow.
Yes.
Counselor O'Malley.
Yes.
All right, and so then, on paper 153, 2025, I make a motion to amend the paper by, in accordance with the May 29, 2025 Planning Board recommendation to disapprove of 12.20.020.12 about general off-street parking. So that we would strike that section of paper 153, 2025, because that's in 186, 25, so So that, I would amend to strike.
So, but first you have to vote whether or not don't they need an official vote of whether or not to accept the planning board recommendations?
I think you usually accept the recommendation, and then if you require amendments, then you do that, and then
Okay.
the third one. But honestly, I don't think you need to amend anything, because the recommendation is amending as submitted.
That's right.
The two first, and then the disapproval, you just
Okay.
don't approve it. You know, I don't think you
So-
actually have to
Okay.
amend it to disapprove it.
Because,
So on Counselor Winslow's motion to accept the planning board recommendations for paper 15325, which are approval of the proposed amendments for 12-12-090B, use regulations. So if you click in the agenda on 28625, you'll see CCP 15325 PBR. Watts? What's Watts? What's Watts? What's WATTS?
With attachments.
Okay.
So I included all the other stuff, so you don't have to go back and forth to 10 different things.
Yeah, could we phrase this as concur with the planning board and make these, I'm just so confused about what it means to accept an amendment to disapprove something.
Yeah, so the reason why we say this is because if the planning board makes a recommendation and we go against their recommendation and it fails, then we can't bring it up for a certain period of time.
2 years.
2 years. So we have to either accept or reject their recommendation. So we can accept their approval. We can accept their recommended approval.
Can we accept their recommended disapproval of?
You're accepting their recommendation.
Okay.
Whether the recommendation is to approve or to disapprove, you're doing what she's telling us to do, is basically how you gotta think of it.
right, okay, so.
I genuinely
I know.
I think you're
Because-
tired.
No, I've always
But, I mean, don't we have to then amend the paper to be
No, I
consistent?
think by accepting their recommendations, we don't have to amend the paper. I think we are doing it in that vote.
Okay, all right.
So on Counselor Winslow's motion to accept the committee report,
And accept the
I mean, the
committee's
planning board
recommendations.
recommendations,
of
1,
May
2, and
20.
3.
Yeah, thanks.
Disapproval of 12-12-090B, approval of 12-12-020I5, and disapproval of the recommended amendment for 12-20-020I12, seconded by Counselor Simonelli. The clerk will call the roll. Oh, no, this is the accept it?
Just to accept the
All
recommendation.
those in favor, please say aye.
Aye, okay.
Any opposed?
Okay, now we have to make a motion to
Enroll.
enroll as amended, okay. So,
It's not amended, but it kind of is.
I don't think the zoning board.
Recommended.
Just except for you're not gonna enroll 12-021-12.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
us
'cause we've already
accepting it
accepted
is
the
the amendment to
recommendations, so
strike
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, so you're only gonna enroll
So
the first
enroll
two
as amended,
sections.
yeah. So-
On Counselor Winslow's motion to enroll as amended, seconded by Counselor Simonelli, the clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Cologne Hayes? Yes. Counselor Condon? Counselor Crowe?
Yes.
Counselor Linehan? Yes. Counselor McDonald? Yes. Counselor Seega? Yes. Counselor Simonelli? Counselor Spadafore?
Yes.
I'm sorry, okay, Counselor Taylor? Yes. Counselor Winslow?
Yes.
Counsel President O'Malley?
Yes.
That is 11-0.
Getting there.
Okay. The next paper is 267-25 communication. The Board of Registrars of Voters respectfully submits to the City Council the Board's recommendations for papers necessary to the upcoming 2025 municipal election cycle numbered as 263, 264, 265, 266, series of 2025.
So I'm just of the opinion, I don't have no problem with being a sponsor, but just to the council, so the council knows, I'm of the opinion that when communications comes, there don't need to be a sponsor. You know, if someone communicates to us, particularly another board or commission, I don't see why we would need there to be a sponsor. I have no problem with it being like this time, but these aren't papers that I actually sponsored. But that's just, I wanted to say, if someone wants to receive this and place it on file, we could do that. Is there a motion? On Counselor Sika, second by Counselor Simonelli, to receive this and place it on file. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That has been placed on file.
So, do you want me to read all the papers at
Yeah,
once?
let's just do it
and
all.
just take
Yeah,
one
that's
vote?
perfect.
They just need a voice vote. You're just adopting these orders, if you so choose. Paper 263-25, order that the mayor and city council hereby fix the dates and hours for the 2025 municipal election calendar. Paper 264-25, order that the city council designate the following locations as polling places for the entirety of the 2025 election calendar. Paper 265-25, order that the city detail a minimum of one officer for each polling building to be determined by the city clerk and the chief of police. Paper 266-25, order that the Malden City Council opt the city of Malden into early person voting for the 2025 municipal election cycle and to designate the city clerk's office, 215 Pleasant Street, room 220, as the central early voting polling location during the dates and times to be determined as voted on by the Board of Registrars of Voters, which are as follows in their attachments, accordingly with all of these papers.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept,
Adopting orders.
is there a motion to adopt? On Counselor Winslow's motion to adopt, seconded by Counselor Cologne Hayes. All those in favor, please say aye. All of those were adopted. Do we want to put off committee reports? Is there anything time sensitive on these committee? I mean, I guess we could just,
It's only two more votes.
okay.
Paper
okay.
287-25, committee report, the Standing Committee on License, to whom was referred papers 241 through 247, series of 2025, having considered the same, make the following report. Committee recommends these petitions out favorably to the full council.
Counselor Sika's motion to receive the committee report. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The committee report's received. Counselor Sika, hold on.
Paper 241-25, petition, Class 3, Malden Broadway Auto Body, Inc., 590 Broadway, renewal. Paper 242-25, petition, Livery Company, Joey Pierre Lewis, 4 Stone Lane, Apartment 5345, one vehicle new. Paper 243-25, petition, Livery Driver, Joey Pierre Louis, 4 Stone Lane, Apartment 5345, new. Paper 244-25, petition, Livery Company, Pablo Transport LLC, 26 Blaine Street, Malden, one vehicle renewal. Paper 245-25, petition, Livery Driver, Jaspreet Singh, 26 Blaine Street, Malden, one vehicle renewal. Paper 246-25, petition, Pool Table, Bio-Gi, Pool Hall, 77 Exchange Street, 7 tables renewal. Paper 247-25, petition, Self-Service Gas Station, Snapmart, Inc., 245 Main Street, renewal.
Thank you. The License Committee met last Tuesday to discuss these petitions. They're all renewals except for one new license. The compliance guys went out to the locations. Everything is fine. We made a unanimous vote to pass these petitions. Motion to grant.
On Counselor Sika's motion to grant, seconded by Counselor Cologne Hayes. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are granted.
That is,
The docket's clear. Does anyone have personal privilege?
No, go to
Is there a
bed.
motion to, Counselor Simonelli. Counselor McDonald.
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who was a part of Malden Porch Fest. There were so many amazing performers and stages in just every part of the city. And so it was a really wonderful community event. And thank you for everybody who was involved.
Counselor Cologne Hayes.
Thank you. I just wanted to put on the radar for everybody that Malden Juneteenth, we're holding our Freedom Celebration Thursday, June 19th. This time we are going indoors because of all the rain cancellations everyone has had. We're not going to take chances. So it'll be inside the Salem Wood School Field House from 11 to 3. There's going to be all sorts of activities and free community meal. And this year we added some really great Black culture events and workshops on double Dutch and hair braiding. So we're trying to attract some of our younger folks. So please come on in. I can't wait to do double Dutch. And then the second one is Fuji Fishing Festival, Saturday, June 21st from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Fellsmere Pond, free polls. We're partnering with Malden Reads, and you get instructions and some snacks, and it's all about fun. Thank you.
On Counselor Crow's motion to adjourn, second by Counselor Sika. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned at 10:38.